And folks, welcome in. Thank y'all so much for your waiting patiently. We surely do appreciate it. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. It is time for some Mouse Guard. Omni, what's going on?
Hey, howdy, hey everyone. I'm the last time touch your favorite but American. Welcome back to Mouse Guard, the Frontier. And, I believe we have some recap to do from last week. You guys did a lot, actually. A lot. So we need to get on that. But I think we can... What do you think? Derek, do you want to do intros now, or do you want to do that at the very end?
We can do them whenever you want to, sir.
All right, cool. Well, let's go across the table and everyone introduce themselves and their characters really quickly.
Cool.
So, whichever order you guys would like, I'm not picky.
Oh man, this is worse than the time we got put into Mouse Guard.
God damn it.
Peter, we're in Mouse Guard.
You know what the worst part is?
Mouse
You're going to be
Guard.
trying to summon your accents, and this is what we're going to get.
That's
That's
what
what's going to
Giles
assert
canonically
itself
sounds
over
like.
your characters.
No, Giles is
Peter.
gonna sound like that.
We're little
Oh,
tiny
gosh.
mouse people.
I own a nation on an island.
God.
It's like Lord of the Flies, but with mice. Anyway, I'll let you guys do the recap stuff because I wasn't even here. So
All right, that's perfectly
That's true.
fair. So, Red, just introduce your character for us then.
hello, I'm Red, one of the three primary colors, and I play Giles, the Aloof, or Giles of Wolfram, if you prefer. And he's a big, surly Scottish mouse
Oh,
that is trying to make a new and more prodigious home for his people that he believes that they deserve. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's me. You'll see more of them. Don't worry. If you like psychopath characters, I'm your guy. So,
Hell yeah.
That sounds pretty accurate. Thank you, boss. Love you. Okay then. Derek, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Derek. You might know me as the guy that runs DMDM Studios. I play Dukan Diamondback. He is Best Weasel. Yes. He is on a mission to lead the Weasels into a new era.
That sounds accurate to me. And then finally, Natalie.
Hey guys, I am playing Sayana the Small. She's a mouse, and she's small, and she is out on her first adventure, learning the ropes of being a mouse guard.
And doing a great job of it so far.
Jorb.
I think so.
Oh, I'm sorry, Coach Z just snuck in there. I didn't mean to, but here it is. Hamstrung?
No, you said coach. All I could think of was like fucking home movies.
I knew you were gonna
Oh
say
my
that. Why did I know
God.
you were gonna say that? I was like,
I
was like-
hey Brandon, can you like call your mom for me?
yeah, Homestar Runner. That shit is.
That's some classic stuff there.
Yeah.
All right then. So, if that's the case then, let me just finish that. There, finally, I have organized all the handouts. Some of them, and most of them. Damn it. I keep saying some of them, and then I look and I see it spirals out of control further down. So, what happened last session, you two? You guys know the drill. For those of you who are going to be doing it, you will gain access to, if I can ever get this to properly open. Come on. There we go. You'll be getting Fate and Persona for a proper recap.
Let me open my character
So,
sheet.
your choice.
Let me open my character sheet real quick. Natalie, you want to start us off?
I was hoping you would, because I don't remember the start of the session.
All right.
Neither do I. We have so much in common.
I know we were on the ocean.
Yeah. We
You were
arrived to New Land.
seasick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just, oh, now I remember. Yes, we had just arrived to New Land, and Gwendolyn or Guinevere?
Gwendolyn.
Oh, it's
Gwendolyn.
Gwendolyn. Oh, shit.
It's Gwendolyn. Yeah, you're
Oh,
good.
shit. Okay.
Gwendolyn
It
of
was
Blockade.
something medieval with a G.
Right.
Anyway,
Dark Souls.
she called Sayana and Dukan and Sayana's kind of enemy. Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Oh, yeah, Tofrin.
Tofrin.
You're in
The
your episode.
B-boy.
Yes.
She called the three of us before her to let us know that she wanted us to go kind of scout out the land, make sure that it was relatively safe, find a place to dock the ship. so everyone can disembark safely and see if I think I recall that we were also supposed to see if the old mouselands were kind of there. So I think
Yeah.
a long time ago, Mouse had settled this area, so
Mhm.
they could potentially still be there, or at least the ruins of their old
Oh,
town,
no, we
city,
are
civilization.
positive that there are mice there, though, remember?
Well, we know that now, but
Oh,
at the
okay,
time
got it.
of her telling us that, you
Got
know,
it,
it was
okay.
like, we
That was
don't know
understood.
if there will be mice, there may not be.
Omni!
What happened?
Omni, thank you. You got your Dreadlord skull. Let's fucking go! 12
Yeah!
months, boy. Hell yeah. Thank you,
Oh, man.
Love
Dude,
you.
always a pleasure. It figures it would drop on a Mouse Guard episode. Much
It
love to you, too.
should. It should, you know? It's fitting.
Ah.
Oh,
so,
sorry,
yeah,
Natalie.
You folks were right. So far, you were, at least that was sort of like a thing you guys know now, is that this place had been settled prior by mice. But I believe that was kind of more like background. They were like, if you spot anything, great. But your real mission was...
To find the place to dock, and I think that was the main thing.
Yep.
And then just kind of explore
Just
the
scouting.
area. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It was find a safe place to land. Like many things you had to consider as a mouse, like as a human landing on a beach, there's not too many things that will usually immediately threaten you. When you're like less than 3 inches tall, even seagulls can kill you. So it was kind of find a safe place to land.
Yeah.
Or else, you know, the expedition would just become the world's largest and longest, like, sushi boat.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm. Except we'll be the sushi.
indeed. So then, that's excellent. I think we can throw you a, whichever you would like, a persona or a fate. Your choice, Natalie. You did great.
Do persona.
Okay. Derek, you want to wrap that second half up, buddy?
Yeah, so we, as I said, we absolutely found out that there are indeed mice here still. Not only that, but we made some pretty good rolls when we found one of their like holdouts that they take refuge in. We weren't 100% sure if it was like a fort. It didn't seem like it was as well protected as a fort. It much more seemed isn't a word. Seemed as if it was a hideaway of sorts in the wedge of a broken rock. And also we found that they are resolute, or at least resourceful enough to create ample weaponry. We didn't see anything that indicated that they were working with steel or iron or anything like that, but we did find like a multitude of leftover like javelins carved from wood and stuff. We found a beach that was appearing ideal, so we made our way to go down to the beach and inspect it, and that was when there were some crabes, and we got into combat with the crabes. We had to keep the B-boy alive, but ultimately we were able to... Sayana and the B-boy beat down the crabbies, and they ran off. And I think they took out like half their number, and then the rest were like, get the fuck out, get the fuck out, get the fuck out. And then the big crabby, he was talking shit while we were fighting, and I ended up kind of like flippity-doo-dahing around and smiting him down with my big fuck-off halberd. And that was where we made landfall, and I think that was where we ended the session.
That sounds accurate to me. All right, yeah, perfect. You basically had a Dark Souls encounter with a bunch of crabs and a boss crab. So
Crabs
yeah,
are
you
scary.
guys did great.
If you play
Yo,
Elden
they
Ring,
are
you know that.
terrifying. Mm-hmm. And they're ironically about the same scale too in this as they would be to you in that game. So
Jesus.
perks of being a mouse.
They're fighting tanks. They're literally just tanks with claws.
Pretty much, yeah. Like literally half their rules are just like armored
Yeah.
thing,
But
armored
a tank
rule.
doesn't taste good with lemon butter, so
True.
Have you tried a tank with lemon butter?
You're right. I'll get right on.
Yeah, we're definitely
Can't
having a
say
feast
we've
with that
tried.
crab. 100%. Yeah, there's like a big
Crab.
fuck off feast with that crab. I hope. I would
Oh.
definitely
I
want
believe
everybody
we
to be feasting on
lashed
that crab.
it to our little raft and brought
That's
it
right.
back with us.
That's right.
So
That
you
is
will be
true.
able to feast on that crab.
The world's biggest crab cake.
My gift to the
Jado
mouse
helped you with
people.
that. Jado helped you with that.
Yeah.
Yes, he was actually the guy who kind of ultimately helped you out.
My boy. My boy.
My man, my fella.
Alright, and that's going to be just for me, and can be only entered by me, and I'm saving that. Huzzah. Okay, cool. Don't mind me, I'm just adding some things for this session. So, perfect. Well, if that's the case then, we shall return back to the expedition. At this point, Giles, we're going to touch base on where you've been, and what's been going on. The beginning of the last session, after, again, it was discovered that there was land the night before, you would know, as one of the Lords of the Lands, that you have been sort of briefed on what to expect. And this is going to be Mouse D-Day, effectively. You will be landing on a beach contested, most likely, by predators and scavengers, and the scale of them will probably be a problem for you. So, as a result, anyone with any number of fighting men underneath them is expected to mobilize and get ready for an actual, beach landing. So I'm pretty sure Gwendolyn would have sent out a runner to you, and most likely it would have been, I want to say probably through your equerry, if I'm being real. They would have sent you all that you need to know to get ready, and after that, you probably would have spent most of the day making sure they're drilled and trained, unless you had other plans for them. So,
Yeah, no, I just... no, I'd most certainly be. See, the thing is, Giles kind of expects to be the spearhead of this. So he's just sort of just being like, yeah, well, that's my fate. I'm gonna just have to be the spearhead, and hopefully none of my people get killed, and if they do get killed, I'm blaming it on somebody other than me. So, yeah, that's his fate. Just making sure everybody's properly trained and ready to go
that's fair.
to deal with the crab threat, the crab menace.
The Great Crab Menace. Alright, that's fair. Let me just add this as well, because speaking of Wolfram. Okay, there we go. And I just need to make sure we're adding these last little things, and we always end up doing this during stream because it's pretty easy for me to do it. But there we go. Mouse. Yeah. Mouse Guard. Mouse. Expedition. And finally, the last little detail, which would be of Wolfram. Jesus, come on. Wolfram. Alright, so there we go. We're saving that. Well, bam. So, I'm going to say that most of the day goes by. As I understand, you guys were out there until not quite nightfall, but midday when they were get your ass back. We don't know how long it'll take for you to get back from where you were. So by the time you're all getting back to the actual proper mouse expedition, it's probably later afternoon. Those shadows are starting to get a little long. And Red, or say Giles, Arabelle comes running along the docks from across the different barges of the expedition. You guys are used to this now, where they'll put two gangplanks aside and make a platform, and they've gotten smooth enough about it where basically when they see someone coming, they both start prepping to do it, so that when they get there, they can just run across like it was always there. Arabelle comes running over to you and planting the standard, just goes, "My lord, it appears as though the away team has returned, and they're getting ready to mobilize for the attack. Just figured I'd let you know."
Haven't done my Scottish accent in a while. I'd much appreciated. I suppose we'll get ready to go then. Been waiting for this. I don't like standing around.
Also, as I understand, Gwendolyn is calling a meeting for everyone, and she said come hungry. I'm not quite sure precisely what she meant by that, but...
I just said I don't like standing around, and she's talking about a meeting.
Well, messengers and not shooting them preferably. And if you'd like, I can watch the crew while you go and sort that out.
Hey, fine. I'll go figure out what she wants.
All right then. Good luck, my lord. And she gives you a wink and steps forward towards the troops that are, I imagine, still behind you, running through drills. It's kind of like, "Hey, you! Sword higher! What, you want them to fucking stab you in the gut?" And, like, she just walks over and immediately clubs one of them with the flat of her blade still in the scabbard to make her point. And, yeah. She's about as rough a trainer as you can be. But then again, you know, she's your equerry. It's basically she has
from the best she did.
So, I assume then you're going to start heading your way towards the Invicta, which is probably where everyone's going to be gathering.
Yeah.
Okay. So, at this very moment, our returning heroes have managed to finally dock with the Invicta, and with the help of your little mouse assistant and the ever-imposing Jado the Regim, you guys managed to...
Badass.
Yeah, I wanted to get a little bit of like, I wanted to get like a patina of like copper rust on him, like copper fade on it.
Yeah.
I think I nailed it. It's as good as I'm gonna get.
Amazing. I love him.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was 5 minutes before stream, everybody. I'm so happy
You
I
did that
finished.
in 5 minutes?
I'm actually pretty good at doing the
You
mouse
are.
guard designs.
You wizard.
Yeah.
What do you think I was doing? I had the window open the whole time.
I didn't realize you did the whole thing.
Yeah, pretty
I
much
thought
from
I thought you
start to
like
finishing
were
finish.
touches
just
on
adding yeah, that's what
I thought you were putting
too.
the patina on it.
No. I basically I plot out the design pretty much in 2 minutes and the coloring in like 3. So
Dude, that's amazing.
yeah. Thank you. So yeah, Jado has sort of like has helped you guys clamber up onto deck. I can't remember how healthy are you right now, Jakan? Because that was a bit of a boss fight, and I can't remember if you got roughed up or not. Do you have the injured condition, or are you okay?
Chat healed me.
That's right,
All
chat did
day.
heal you.
All day healed me. Shout outs to all day.
Love you, chat. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, that's the case. That clambering on board would be pretty easy.
The fight reinvigorated me.
thank you.
The victory reinvigorated me.
Damn straight. Yeah, absolutely. So Jado and the crew sort of help you guys onto the deck, and I assume that you and Jado Dukan are hauling up the crab, or at least like, I'm willing to say you could probably get like a half of the crab with you guys. Like that barge is tiny. It was already bearing more weight than it should with 2 weasel-sized
Yeah.
occupants.
We left the legs behind.
There you go. Yeah, you got the lump meat, the good meat.
And the crab hammers, the claw.
Yeah, the claws. Fucking
Jesus.
crab hammer, crabby.
Oh yeah, I have plans for those.
That's very fair. So yeah, I figured they'd help you haul it onto deck, and as you do, you would see Preston and his crew all sort of like step forward and sort of assess what you have with you, and just sort of Preston just sort of gesture at that. So, I'd be assuming there'd be more of that on the shore, then.
Not where we left off.
Well then, lads, we eat before landfall. And, he turns back to you. There be any part of this that you don't want to part with?
The shells
Thank you.
and the claws. Take all the meat for all the little mice things.
Very well. Alright then. Get to it, lads. And you can see that like a number of crew come forward and they're all like sharpening cleavers and crowbars and hammers, and they all start getting to disassembling the crab. Which for, you know, a human, if you've ever had a crab, that could be kind of rough, depending on how hard or thick the shell is. These things are rock crab. These are probably rock crab. Like, so, like, if you've ever had, like, stone crab, is what this is, stone crab? Stone crab is delicious, but that shell is freaking penetrable to a human. So these mice have literally, like, hacksaws and, like, crowbars to prise these open. Like, they're taking this thing apart like diamond, basically.
Good.
Um,
Good. I have I have ideas for this material.
It's just like Minecraft. That's crazy.
Mousecraft.
Mousecraft.
So after a couple of minutes of disassembly and the crew beginning to get a giant like metal pot onto the deck, begin boiling all the meat and everything, getting it going. Eventually, you would see Gwendolyn and her coterie arrive. Specifically, Gwendolyn and also Saxon would both be there, if I can ever find them. Saxon of Flintrast. Here we are. Both her consort and also her chief warrior. Both get onto the deck, and the whole deck kind of goes quiet from like the mild celebration. She goes, "Well, don't stop on my account, by all means. But Captain, Scout Team, you're with me, and as I understand, Master Giles will be along shortly. So let's begin."
Giles is gonna be pissed when he sees what's going on.
Yep.
And you'll find out why.
Oh, no.
Giles is a master military strategist, so he knows all the ins and outs of these things.
Oh, I look forward to this.
You let me know when he shows up.
I would assume after a couple of minutes on the upper deck, you would arrive. So they've got sort of like the little council up top, ready to debrief.
Oh,
So-
boy.
You would arrive at about this time. You would see that the crew is currently, at this point, I imagine like the crab boil's pretty much like almost done, or it's at least done enough where it's edible, and they probably have like a bunch of like butter that's probably the last of the butter that they had. That was gonna probably start going soon enough anyway. So they're kind of just like, whatever, fine, we'll just use it now. It's kind of useful when you arrive. So the smell is rather delightful, and you can see that the deck is. I would say it would have been littered, but it isn't. The crew's actually gotten pretty good at this. This isn't their first breakdown of a kill. So, like, you can see on the deck there are piles of scrap of crab, but they are organized into places that can be plates. The crab claws are separated off to the side. The meat, what is on the deck, has been sorted into neat piles that don't impede movement, based on quality and location on where the crab it would come from is. And you can even see they're, like, picking through some of the filament that crabs have in them. There's like this thin, almost like dragonfly wing style material that serves as kind of like their tendons, all sort of filtered out to the side. The crew's rather busy when you arrive, and only one of them just briefly announces, "Master Giles of Wolfram on deck!" And you see like half the crew sort of like stand up, salute, and then immediately get back down to work because they are like hands in the guts of an animal. So
Nobody's eating yet, right?
at the moment, no.
Good.
There's like the cook who's like occasionally like going like, "Is this done?" Sure. Like, you know, they'd have like a couple of folks like gnawing on scraps, but they're not like being particularly disorderly about it. It's
He's
literally
gonna-
this will be
He's
thrown
gonna
out or
walk up
not.
to the cooks.
Oh,
He's gonna slap a hand down on a cook's shoulder, like, like very firmly. Don't feed a single fucking soul in here. You understand me?
There's a particular reason for that, my lord?
Oh yeah, lad, there's a big reason for that.
Okay.
He put his little mouse pinkies in his mouth and let out this like incredibly sharp, powerful whistle that everybody could hear. Probably people outside of the room could hear it like plain as day.
Oh yeah, no, you're on the deck, so like that's literally like the woo like whistle that you get on board like certain ships. Like that's piercing. I'm pretty sure the chef like immediately hands to his mouse ears, which fold to the sides of his head. Like the whole crew like ears fold down, hands on, and just like look over like. Really? Kind of like, we have a bell! Like, literally, like, one of them just gestures to a bell next to him.
Giles doesn't even like regard him with a look.
Right.
Listen here, lads and lasses, and listen up well. You just wait a whiskey sipping second. You ain't eating before we go on shore. Not a one of yous.
Why?
I'm gonna make a military roll because I don't want to like overstep my bounds here. I know exactly why you shouldn't. But
All right. I will say that Gwendolyn is so you're on the bottom deck of the Invicta, just so you're aware, like when you have arrived. So, the Invicta's bottom deck, the deck comes in 3 tiers. The group meeting is on the 2nd tier in that slightly recessed area underneath the upper driver's deck. So, like, they all come out onto the 2nd deck, like, onto the overlook over the deck to see you down there shouting at them or whistling for this whole affair. Also, thank you, Neris, for the
Thank you,
hydrant.
Neris. I needed that. I didn't realize how bad I needed that.
much love. Okay, making a military check.
Let's do it!
That's horrible.
Giles makes a fool of himself.
That is no successes. Actually, -2 successes. You have 2 traitors in your midst.
You
So
make them want to eat the crab more.
I want to eat the crab even more. No, I can.
this was to assess. This was to assess specifically like your character's perception of like overstepping bounds and stuff, right?
Yes. Is there, I want to add some dice to this, but it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, you're gonna at least need 2 successes to strike even. Like, because again, you have 2 traitors which are actively harming your success rate. So,
Ouch.
yeah, you would need 2 successes to hit no successes.
That's fine.
I've taken claps scarier than that.
All right, buddy, you know the drill. You
much-
can burn a persona point each to add a die as much as you'd like.
All right, first die.
Oh,
Let's
go. There you
use a
go.
fate, use a fate. Use a fate.
You
to
can
make
use
it
a fate.
explode.
Yep, that'll make them into exploding 6s if you'd like.
I will use a fate to make it explode into exploding 6s.
Okay, then.
What do I do from here?
At this point, you roll the die again. If it can roll either basically 4 up, it's another success. If you roll a 6, you get to roll it again.
Okay.
It is literally an exploding dice system at this point.
Ooh,
Okay, got
that's
a
2
5,
successes.
got a 6.
Oh, we've won it back, lads!
He's in the
All right,
green.
that's-
Oh, we've won it back, lads!
See, this is why Fate is so awesome. This is
Ah!
why Fate. When people ask me why is it that Legacy is an exploding dice system, this is why. This is so satisfying.
Miracles do happen.
It was never really in doubt.
Damn, you really turned that around. Holy
You
fuck.
did. I
I thought you were
genuinely.
gonna waste that. I was
I-
like, oh no, Red, dude, no. And then you're just like, 666. I'm like,
I genuinely didn't expect that.
I remember it well.
So, I think this is very appropriate, the way this is played out. Considering the way this whole thing has played out thus far. Red, Giles, you're used to
Red
being the
wins.
biggest mouse in the room, and the most important mouse in the room. You, as the ruler of a region, your word is law, effectively. While you might have your own government to make that more official and less autocratic, you do still effectively have nigh autocratic rule of Wolfram. Here, on the other hand, as you have announced so sharply your presence and declared your command of everyone here, and now looking above you onto the second deck, you can see Gwendolyn of Lockhaven, the matriarch of the expedition, and effectively the closest thing to Mouse President as you're going to encounter.
Mouse president.
Saxon of Flint Rust, who is basically Lord Protector of the Mouse Territories, or in this case, the Mouse Expedition. So, Caesar in that role. And also, on the same deck, you also see Preston, the captain of this ship, the actual captain, because technically this is a privateer vessel that is working currently under the flag, under the auspices of the Mouse Guard. So Gwendolyn technically has to ask him to get on board, much in the same way that you have the Queen of England or the King of England has to ask the Mayor of London to come in. Because there is an assumption that, yeah, it's actually a thing. The Mayor of London technically owns an independent district that is not actually England. London is its own thing, going back to the Roman era.
like Washington, D.C.
Pretty much, but even more so.
Maryland.
Apparently, the reason why is
It's like
because... apparently the reason...
Reservation land?
Sort
Almost.
of. Like, the idea is that London was originally a Roman outpost known as Londinium, and when they had the major conquest of basically all the UK, the armies arrived at Londinium, and as opposed to a bunch of other settlements that didn't have powerful walls or built fortifications, you came across this well-built Roman fortification with moats and walls and pretty much solid infrastructure. And they were like, yeah, you want to surrender? Like, no. And they're like, oh, well, we can besiege you. It'll take weeks and a lot of our resources, or we just agree to give you a special deal. So to this day, if you ever want to have a fun laugh, look up the Mayor of London in Regalia whenever the royalty of England visits. It is the funniest shit in the world. They have to actually ask permission. This is the same deal. Gwendolyn had to ask Preston to get on board. Reeling back to where we're going with you, your character is technically, on this deck, the fourth most important person here. And you have just casually countermanded what must have been an implicit order on all of their parts. And have thus far provided no reason. So your next words should be well measured. Not saying that they will discard them, but rules of court, ye be careful, me friends.
Well, I want it back, so I'm doing good.
Oh yeah, no, you have a very keen assessment on the path forward. 100%. And it is a gentle mix of respect and knowledge. And useful knowledge. If you do that, you'll be smooth sailing, Chief.
Don't worry, I got this. I got this in the bag. Easiest fucking speech of my life. So Giles is gonna like reach over and grab one of the chef's crates, and he's gonna step up on top of it, just like with no regard of like whether or not they needed it.
My lads, listen close, I beg ye. In my days in the Borg world from about a score of years ago, I remember when they were taking on the mighty wolf. The wolf that threatened the very apex of our civilization. We had a hearty feast. Just cheese, bread, butter, anything you can imagine. Grubs. It was a feast to be beholden to. I remember when I stepped out on that field and looked upon that wolf, what was not upon my mind was the fear I had of facing the wolf down. It was the pain I had in me gut from the cramps I had marching 2 miles or so on a full gut. We are not going to repeat that mistake, not under my watch, Giles of Wolfram, so saith I.
So the crew, all of them, look at you, and slowly look up to Gwendolyn, and then slowly look back to you, and kind of do like that. The man has a point. They're literally doing the Falcon Winter Soldier. The man's out of line, but he has a point, kind of thing.
He's out of line,
like,
right?
Yeah, but like 20 deep. So Gwendolyn looks down the deck and sort of sees all the meat arrayed out and already being cooked. And then she looks up at the sky and sees that it's already like mid-afternoon. She goes, well then, well said, Lord of Wolfram, and a consideration I should have thought of. We're not used to marching massed armies. So, I'll take that under advisement. However, considering the sheer bounty we have on display here, I suppose it means we'll wait another day before we advance onto the beach. That would also give us more time to press inward. What say you to that, Lord of Wolfram?
That'll be sufficient, aye, but keep in mind the nerves of our mice here. The longer you make them wait, the more they start thinking. And thinking be a wee bit dangerous, you know.
Very
Salt
well.
the crab, save it for later. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't lobster, it's not gonna rot.
I don't know about that. Can I ask out of character, though, just out of curiosity, would mice of our position consider crab to be some type of feast or delicacy, or would it not just be a we're eating whatever we can find type deal?
It's a little bit of A, a little bit of B. Mice are scavengers. They'll eat whatever they can get a hold of. They tend to eat grains, and they cook food. They even have meat, again, usually insect meat. But after a great war or a kill like this, usually like the understanding is you don't waste it. You use it right now.
Yeah.
But
It's free real estate.
yeah, but at the same time, Giles also makes a good point, which is the fact that this can be salted and saved. That's also done oftentimes. This is just one of those rare instances where there's enough people where you probably could have eaten the whole crab. Unlike under most circumstances where you get a kill like this and it's like, that'll feed a settlement for like 2 to 3 days with leftovers. So, in this case, Gwendolyn sort of just looks around the deck and then looks down at you again. And she raises an eyebrow, and you can tell she seems to be... I think she's more entertained than offended. So you did a good job. You've managed to duck the worst possible outcome for that. She just sort of like raises an eyebrow and smiles. Well then, I suppose we'll have to trust that the fearsome Lord of Wolfram will be able to keep our men's heads on their shoulders for tomorrow morning, but one more eve. I trust in the talent and the skill of the guard, and I trust in you and your kind, oh great Lord of Wolfram. Now, if you'll join us, we do have a debrief that we need to accomplish anyhow, so we can make an educated, strategic plan of invasion. If you'd like to join us, we'd most assuredly like to have you. And the entire crew is just like looking back and forth between the two of you, like they're all pale. Like they're all pale, every one of them, except Saxon. Saxon has a face that borders on like snickering and like also I really hope he does something. But then again, that's like 80% of Saxon's usual expression is I really hope you make this a physical confrontation.
I'll kill him. No, he just sort of nod, step off the box. He's not returning it. He's just gonna leave it where he put it, and he's gonna join them on the upper deck aft.
All right, awesome. So all the mice immediately scramble about, and you can see that like they're sort of adjusting the plan. So like a feast, no, but rations out of the crab, that's probably more practical. So they're gonna serve the crab, but in more moderate rations as befitting an evening meal, and then the rest of it will be salted and put away. So that way they don't have to worry about everyone cramping the hell up on battle. It's kind of like an understanding that very quickly passed among the crew, like, okay, he had a point, so let's not fuck this up. And as you arrive onto the deck, you see arrayed in front of you the same crew as you have seen before. So you see Gwendolyn, you see Preston with his weapon of choice, you see, at the same time, even Cedric is here, even the post mouse is here. Though you can tell from like the way he's sort of, the way he is here is that his mount is not, and he has walked here on foot, and you can tell because he has a very specific bow-legged stance when he walks for too far. Riding in that saddle has kind of messed up his legs a little bit. You also see the other leaders of the expedition, including Modi, who is here at the moment. Modi the Red, the terrifying weasel overlord that the expedition has made peace with. And you even see Raphael arrayed here. So basically, it's a who's who of mouse territory relevance. As they all sit down around a large table, which again is the map table. They've sort of cleared the map off of this for the moment. And Gwendolyn sort of just turns towards the two of you, Dukan and Sienna, and says, all right then. So, scout team, please, by all means, brief us on what we can expect upon landing.
Well, as you can tell, certainly a lot of crabs.
I think that would probably get a chuckle out of Preston. Cedric probably like smiles a little bit, and even Gwendolyn kind of like, yes, I have noticed that. So, was that the only thing on the beach then?
Seagulls.
Hmm.
Possibly
That's-
snakes. I think.
That is... Yeah, you're right. There was snake tracks, or snake trail.
Okay, no.
Snake sign, I think is the term. And yeah, you did see plenty of like sandpipers and what could be seagulls. So I think actually, yeah, the boss crab killed a seagull before it attacked you guys.
Yeah.
So like you did see seagulls. You just sort of bypassed that boss fight with another boss fight. So I actually
There's
had
always a bigger boss.
I actually had that boss fight rolled up, by the way. I just rolled it like behind the counter, and it's like, oh no, he just straight up killed it outright. Okay, cool.
Nice. Well, that's good.
Thank you for the stretch, Neris. So, Gwendolyn kind of scratches her chin as she hears that, and you can see that next to her, Saxon sort of sidles up, his blade in the scabbard, and it's a big one. Giles, he's wielding a great sword. Not quite the mirror of yours, but definitely the match of. His is a long sword in the true tradition of a long sword. The two-handed variety, not your hand-and-a-half bastard sword. Nah, this thing's for felling mice on rabbitback.
Yeah.
So, as he steps forward and he sort of just grumbles under his breath, well, that's going to complicate the landing a little bit. We do have ourselves resources, but those seagulls are going to be probably the biggest problem.
There is something else. Far more of your kind.
I think
True.
Modi and Raphael would both crane their heads at you. Like for Raphael, it's more like he just turns towards you, but Modi does kind of like that. Slowly turns her head sideways and leans it in further. Further mice. I did understand that there might be some, but you say far more. How so?
Their exact numbers we're unsure of, but they certainly seem capable of setting up posts and have several trails that seem well walked.
Mass-produced weapons.
Mass-produced.
I just
And
nod.
she squints at you, and immediately Raphael sort of like steps to the fore and says, "All right, how many did they have?
A post.
What's the make? The quality?"
Wood. Subpar.
They were of decent quality. Probably the leftovers that they had of no use for.
Not steel nor iron wood. They may possess sophisticated weaponry as we do, but we did not see any of their number in person, so we cannot be sure.
When you say wood, do you mean like spears, as an example?
Tables. They had a small outpost that we stumbled across, vacant, of course, before we had to turn back. There was a picture of what appears to be their leader. A painting of him.
I
Handsome fella.
put the fist that I like kind of did the scribbling of on the table,
yeah.
and I take out like a fang from the eel that I've made into a dagger and just like slam it down into it. Kind of visibly upset.
Preston watches you put the paper down on the table, and then watches you take the fang up and goes, "Wait, no! That was Maple." And he just like, you see this for a second, like just lean into his hands, like, it's fine. You have to get a new one.
I can fix it for you, Preston. Let me do this for you.
He's the only one at the table who reacts this way, by the way. Like, everyone else is kind of like, whatever. But for that's his table.
Sorry.
That's
So-
my mission for this episode. Fix Preston's table.
Speaking of, by the way, don't forget, you can also at any time announce what your secondary objective is for this mission that you're going to be going into.
Cool.
Just to let you know.
I don't mind knowing yet.
Yeah, no worries. I figured as much. So, as Preston sort of like whinges in the corner as he looks at the table that's been now like stabbed pretty reliably, Gwendolyn sort of leans a little further forward, realizes that like it's a big table, so she just sort of stands up and walks the other side with her halberd in her hand, kind of leaning on it a little more, almost like a walking stick. She gets closer, she sort of reaches out, takes it, and turns it. So, this etching that you have, from what I can tell, clearly a mouse. Was there any colors associated with it?
It was yellow and black. Was that it?
Yeah, pretty much. It was
Wow.
black,
Right. Just
black
remember
cloak,
that.
black hair, and then yeah, yellow for the hand.
Yeah. Yeah. So I tell her that. I don't know how I remembered that. That's crazy.
You just yeah, man. Way to go. So she kind of like squints at that a little bit. Curious. Well, if that's the case, then sounds like we might have ourselves a matter of diplomacy to handle. She begins to walk to the other side of the table.
I kind
Doesn't
of look
change-
at her when she says diplomacy, and then I remember, right, war is another way of diplomacy.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a diplomat.
Excellent, then. Well, if that's the case, then I'll put it directly to you. If you were to make any contact with these mice, you are to immediately send a runner to find us. We'll send ourselves diplomats directly, but you are to do nothing but to engage gently with them, reassuringly, and let them know that a greater diplomatic outreach will be there shortly. In short, I'm not authorizing anyone to communicate with these people before we, as the leaders of this expedition, as she turns to look over at Raphael and at Modi, and Raphael just nods, and Modi kind of... She, like, almost looks like she's gonna roll her eyes, and then she realizes, like, this actually is a pretty significant deal. And she just sort of, like, just nods grimly as well. Have had a chance to speak with them, to ascertain their true motives, especially if they're hoarding weapons that could be used for defense, but it sounds like they've headed an outpost, which could be a stockpile. I don't know what that could mean. Regardless, it doesn't change much. Did you find a landing zone for us?
Yes. Where we killed the crabs.
Perfect. And she sort of just gestures off to the side, and you can see a little mouse comes running over with, like, a sextant and a set of quills, and immediately unrolls, like, the vellum of the map onto the table, gently unplucking the eel-toothed dagger and handing it back to you, Dukan, before, like, smoothing the rest of it out with weights on the table. Alright, point to where it is on the map, and I will add an addition. And he takes out his little quill, dips it into an inkwell, and gets ready to draw wherever you point. After a couple minutes of them coordinating all this, Gwendolyn basically breaks it down for you guys. You're going to rest tonight. Make sure everyone is equipped. This is a final opportunity to reassess and reassure your troops. And then, first light, they make the attack. So, by the time that dawn actually happens, the mouse will be hitting the surf. So, this will be an early morning assault. And you are to do whatever it takes to get yourself ready, but you will be part of the vanguard. All of you. So, Giles, you, Cedric, Sienna, and also Dukan are going to be operating as a patrol with Cedric, who will be helping to coordinate at least part of the attack, considering he'll have to be with the actual barge. But basically, your patrol will be one of the spearhead patrols on ground, especially since most of you have been there already. Jado will be acting in support as well, so you will have backup from a Hedgehog's representative. Other than that, she has nothing of particular import to mention except to enjoy your rations of crab. Thanks to Khan for them. Very much. And basically begins to get ready to leave. So, unless you all have anything in particular you really wanted to do, I figure we could probably start fading to next morning. It is also an hour in. Did you guys want to take a bio break?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
All right, don't go anywhere. Anybody? We're gonna take a quick 5 to 10. We'll be right back with more Mouse Guard. Welcome back. Thank y'all so much for being here. I surely do appreciate it. Omni, what's happening?
Hey, alrighty. So, now that we have gotten back from our little bio break, we're going to address the practicals of the session. You guys have had your meeting. It dissolved afterward. I'm going to assume you have your downtime now, to pursue whatever it is you might want to do. So I'm going to give you guys about like half an hour for downtime, equivalent, in real time, to work this out. And
Okay.
figure out what you want to do for your session's goals, as well as also to do like secondary pursuits, that kind of thing. So by the end of this half-hour period, make sure you have your goal for the session, whatever it's going to be. You now know your overarching mission is going to be storm the beach and establish a foothold. And basically, establish a foothold. Whatever else around that you feel is appropriate, your business. So we'll go down, whoever wants to start off their downtime, as the whole of the expedition is currently eating crab rations and relaxing a little bit before the inevitable storm the next day.
Ah, yes.
I know what I want to do for my downtime and my mission.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else wants to go.
No, by all means, if you're all ready to go.
Yes. Okay, I have a 2-part thing for my side mission, or my downtime.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
First, I would like to go to the kitchen and make my own little dish with the crab meat, because Sayana's never seen crab before, so this is a novelty to her, and she's interested and wants to give it a shot.
Okay, that's perfectly fair. There is plenty. Like, you probably wouldn't be able to get, like, the highest quality, but you'd be able to get a pretty solid, like, I'd say, like, a pretty solid cut of, like, lump meat. That's pretty fair,
Yes.
I think. So, that nice, like, core body gooey meat, to run off with. Probably about as much as you can hold in your hands, because it's a huge crab. The thing is so big, honestly, when they pulled it up on the Invicta, they had to immediately break it down to clear walkways. So, yeah, like, there's plenty of meat there. I can only imagine that, like, the crabs on the beach are still eating the legs. So, you can take it back if you'd like, all the way to the, it'll be to Garo, the mouse caravan that you're stationed on that particular barge.
I imagine we have our own, rations and ingredients and things on board.
Yeah, the main floor of Garo, because you can see it's sort of built like a stratified, like almost like a tower a little bit. The lower levels are mostly for observation, people walking around, but the actual building itself has 2 floors. The top floor is for sleeping and for keeping watch, and the bottom floor is kind of a common area for everything from food prep to planning out strategic operations in case the tortoise gets separated or anything. So eating on that second floor there is probably where you're going to be doing all that. There's like a hot rock you can set up there and start cooking things, fry basically on a griddle made out of stone. Or if you want, you could even roast over the giant torch over the top of the tortoise. So whatever works for you, you can do it.
Can I say that Sayana brought some of her own herbs and spices? Having, worked in a bakery, she does the culinary thing, so she probably didn't want to leave some of those more expensive things behind for anyone to just randomly use, and probably not the manner that would be appropriate for that spice because they're not familiar with it.
Indubitably.
That is very fair. And buddy, Bardo, love you, buddy. Yes, that was so good. Let's see. So then, make me a. I figure this would be cooking, not baking. Or what are you planning on doing with it? That'll be what
I
determines
would
it.
say cooking, because I was thinking of like roasting it or something. I want it to stay juicy. I'm not gonna fry it or I'll probably marinate it lightly before putting it over the fire.
All right, that's the case. Then you're gonna make a cook roll.
Okay.
That would probably be the only roll you get. So that's gonna be 3d6. Go ham.
Nice.
And whoa, yeah, that's pretty good.
Heck yeah.
It's 2 successes. So yeah, you
I double
managed.
succeed.
You do, and no, only like 1 failure, but it wasn't a traitor, so that's pretty spicy. So what is it you're trying to like cook it, sort of keep it nice and moist? So I figure you probably sort of were able to see what the chefs were doing on the Invicta, and kind of just remove what they were initially doing, as opposed to boil. You just kind of throw it right in with the butter. Red, what do you think a good way of cooking crab would be on that scale? Like,
Cooking crab on a
leverage your cooking expertise.
Cooking crab on a microscopic scale. Let me think about that. Can't say I've done that.
I was going to marinate it and then kind of put it on a spike and just kind of like almost rotisserie style, lightly cook it over the fire.
See, the thing is, with crab, it's a very delicate meat, so you don't want to marinate it, otherwise it'll break down into like a pulpy mess. So what you want to do with crab is you'd want to par cook it. We don't
I've never
boil
cooked
crab. We par cook crab. So what you would do, instead of just putting it in water, you'd add all your herbs and seasonings to the water in a sachet, and you'd boil the crab in that, take it out, serve it with butter and lemon.
That sounds
Then
amazing
I will
right now.
probably do that then. I guess.
D&D
I probably
Studios making you
read
hungry
some type
every day of the
of
week.
cult of. Zion has probably read some type of foreign culinary book where it's like delicacies from around, the world, the mouse world.
Yeah, from around the
Probably
territories.
Yeah, so it probably included some type of seafood.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You've definitely you probably know more about crab than most people in the territories do who don't live on the coast. And even then, and on the territories like the coast, crab are more of a threat than they are a food stuff. Like, as you recently found out, you don't necessarily want to try to wrangle up crab meat. It's not worth it.
Right.
It requires a team of trained expert warriors to take down a crab. And granted, it can feed a small settlement for a bit, but is it really worth that much risk to life and limb? The answer is 9 out of 10, no. You just get insect meat and grains. So, yeah, no. And dude, Nathan, yes, nice to see you, buddy. So, you managed to get yourself this lovely, delicious, buttery kind of, you probably don't have a good way to serve it except in a little stone bowl. So it's just kind of all the meat is sort of thrown in there, kind of like a finger food or chicken wings. Sort of all just pick out what you can. And I figure you probably have the equivalent of garlic and a couple of other spices, like a thyme, something like that you can mix into that. And it smells delicious. You definitely
time on crab. That's a sin.
I know.
I imagine
guys.
they might not have lemons on the ship because those are tropical fruits. So I figure that in her spice bag she has some lemongrass, which she infuses in the butter to give it that zesty.
Nice.
Very good.
I didn't go to culinary school, but I watch a lot of Master Chef, so
My wife's an amazing
That's
cook. She's fucking.
I'm decent.
She's why I gained 30 pounds.
That's a fun.
That and having
I just
that
cook
and
a
being
lot
content.
of southern food. That's why you gain 30 pounds.
I will say, a happy marriage is usually a less healthy marriage. Speaking from experience there. Yeah, Bardo sous chef, I approve 100%.
Nice.
So no, dude, I love you, Bardo. You're so fucking versatile. So you managed to make this food, and basically Cedric and the rest of the patrol are all kind of gathered around. I figure you have enough to feed everyone, if
Yeah,
that was your goal.
Yeah, Sion is she likes cooking for people. That's her why she does it. She
It's her
likes
love
seeing that
language.
satisfied smile on their face, where she's just like, yes, they liked it.
I love that. So yeah, they are all eating together, sort of just casually enjoying the night before the storm. And you can see a couple of the mice who aren't eating are kind of just sharpening weapons and checking their rucksacks and their packs. Basically, everyone's gearing up for war. You can even see that Cedric currently has his breastplate on, which is something he doesn't often wear, but it is polished to a mirror sheen. And he's also packed almost all his stuff away into a bag, including, from what you can see, what looks like a bedroll, but he already has a bedroll on there. So you're not sure what's up with that, but
It's the cloak.
Probably. Like if you're being real, probably is. So like he's clearly getting ready to go to war, and as everyone's sort of sitting around eating, Cedric kind of like pushes himself up onto his hands off of his, because he's been like sitting like this on his elbows, like just sort of like digesting after the crab, and just sort of like pushes himself up and just says, Sienna, I'm gonna have to stay with Garo while we're getting ready to do the landing. Need to make sure that someone gets into safety. Especially getting off the barge, that whole process is a bit of a pain, and I need to defend him while he's getting offloaded. Which means that you're going to be in charge of the crew. So, I guess this is me formally promoting you, at least temporarily, to Patrol Mouse. Or from Patrol Mouse to Patrol Leader. All I ask, keep them as safe as you can. And he leans in a little closer as the other mice are like busily like getting themselves ready and eating, and whispers, and if you can't, sell their lives as dearly as you can.
Sell their lives? Like SELL?
Yeah, SELL. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I heard you right.
Yeah.
It's an expression for let them die. Like, make
Yeah.
their lives count.
I'm not familiar
Yeah,
with
it
that.
means make their lives
Yeah.
count.
Kill 'em
Yeah.
all!
I thought you
Exactly.
meant like there was a
Sell them into
possibility the other
slavery.
mice
If
were
it
gonna
gets
be
bad,
like,
just sell your fellows into slavery. Sigma
I don't
mouse
know,
grind
I've
set.
never heard the term
How many
before, so-
mice do I have to spend at this crab to get it to walk away?
Sigma mouse grind set.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I was like,
it's
wait, can we just buy our way out of this?
Yeah. No. The expression is old military jargon for you can't save everyone on a battlefield. What matters is that they all die for something meaningful. Like,
Okay.
you know, if you're gonna have soldiers die, they're gonna trust you to get them killed, but get them killed for a good reason, as opposed to just like rank incompetence or the equivalent.
Right.
So it's basically Cedric going like, you know, make sure if anyone is gonna die, they die well. They die in the pursuit of something meaningful, not just because hurdy-dur, I want to take that hill. Let's go, guys. Gatling guns or no?
Take
Um,
that hill,
Yeah.
baby.
You're talking to Sayana, not Giles,
Yeah.
or rather Dukan.
$12
Right.
also go as low as 9. I'm sorry, that's my brother. You could have him for as low as 4.
Bardo, $12 a mouse. I love that. So
And this
yeah,
economy.
no.
Mhm.
The you know, Cedric kind of fixes you with like a look of, do you understand?
Sayana is familiar with the phrase, even though Natalie isn't, so she gives him a nod and, you know, has a stoic look on her face, like, you know, it's very apparent she's taking this seriously, because she kind of already sees herself as his second in command, and this is a chance to prove she actually is.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fair.
So,
With-
actually, I might change my mission. My mission is to do Cedric right. Yeah. Follow his instructions and make him proud.
Okay. So make Cedric proud is your mission, which that works for me. It's perfectly fair. Oh man. So I figure unless there's anything else you wanted to do,
Cat stomping stuff over. The only other thing I wanted to do, which we don't have to roleplay, is find some type of way to fix Preston's table. I know in real life you can take a walnut and rub it over a scratch on wood and it kind of fills in that crack, so I'm
Right.
thinking she can do something similar to that and, you know, try and paint over it so it matches the actual color of the wood.
Okay. Yeah, I know that usually for this kind of thing, they'll like tar it up and just kind of like sand it
But that
down.
works. You know, something like that. I don't know. That'd probably take too much time.
Yeah, oh, that's fair. No, you could definitely go back and help with that, and I'm sure I'm sure that Preston would appreciate it, and he probably says as much to you anyhow. While you're there for sure, you definitely get the make me a mouse. Make me a circles roll.
Circles.
It's in your base abilities, right below resources, and opposite of your nature.
Oh, I
Which
see that. Okay, I have a 4 in that.
Almost no one ever makes circles rolls in these games, but I love doing them. They're really fun.
Well, I did pretty well with that.
You did phenomenal. You had 1 traitor in your midst. That cancels out the 6, but you had 2 successes. So, you can tell as you've been... This isn't the first time you've been on Preston's ship. You've been on repeatedly during this whole journey. And you get the feeling that, very much so, the crew considers you, like, basically one of the crew. You're like the crew plus. So you have made yourself a good home there. If you ever need to allies, you have allies there. And Preston clearly, at very least, considers you a personal friend. If not, there's more possibility there, but that will probably take time to
If
cultivate.
Sayana has her way.
Yeah. Well, let's be real. Preston is 100% a dandy and dresses as such. And he dresses to impress because he's looking for people to impress. So yeah, he is basically wearing a foot-long feather as like an indicator that he is 100% on the market. So if you're
And being a small town mouse, a country mouse, if you will, Sayana is just completely wooed and smitten by this dazzling display. She never dreamt a person could look so dashing and swashbuckling.
I'm just a little country mouse. I don't know no better.
I literally have the image of Preston's fashion is to mice what Django Unchained's initial fashion was to people in his era, where like just arrives in like this bright ass blue blazer with ruffles all over the place, and like, why'd you get that? 'Cause I can. And like everyone else is wearing like normal dusters and stuff, and it's like, I mean, he looks fly.
He looks
I
fly.
respect the ride.
Yeah,
God, I love that movie.
the movie's fantastic. So yeah, all right then. I have already given you the check on the pass for your circle, so you're good. 4 more successes on that, you'll go to circles 5. Awesome. So then, who wants to go next?
Unless Red wants to go, I can do it.
Melody?
I would like to find a tinkerer to make these 2 crab claws into a type of like trick weapon. Functions, because I did some research. I looked at what a rock crab's claws look like. I was thinking a crab hammer, just because the word crab hammer sounds unfathomably badass. But the shape of a rock claw is much more like kind of curved almost, so it would function, I imagine, like a kind of like a halberd, but it could be opened up into like a kind of pair of lethal scissors, reinforced with like steel and hinged to snap down on shit.
I love that, and yes, absolutely.
I would like 2 of them because I want to give the other one as a gift.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. In terms of a halberd, the biggest issue you're going to run into, you know, let's actually have you find the mouse who will not the mouse, but find the tinkerer that'll do it first. So I want you to do me a favor, pop open your character sheet, and you're going to be making me also a circles roll this time.
I do not have very great circles. Oof, I'm going to add a dice to that.
Okay.
Okay, that's...
There you go. That's dead average. That is 0 successes, but 0 failures.
There's a person.
So actually, no, that is a success. That's 1 success, because you had a... Yeah, you had a traitor, which canceled your success, and a failure. Now you have a clear success. So you're good.
Yeah.
At first you think about mice, because mice are tricksy. They're smart. They tinker a bit. And then you realize, like, literally half this expedition is propped up by hedgehog technology.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally the Invicta is powered by some kind of torsion drive, likely of hedgehog design. Half the crew is armed with gunpowder weapons, clearly of hedgehog design. And the Hedgems themselves have literally made, like, this giant Howl's Moving Castle equivalent of, like, steam tech that is on the back of one of these tortoises. So clearly, if you're going to have this happen, you're going to want to find one of the Hedgems. And funny enough, you happen to know a Hedgem, in fact.
My best
Yeah, so if you want to, Jado is probably the easiest in, Failing that, you could go to Raphael. I think either would be a good choice.
I would start with Giotto.
Okay.
I would start with Giotto because I want him to be in on it because he's my best friend, but also I would want him to get me an audience with Raphael that's like sanctioned, so I'm not just like walking straight up to the leader of the Hedgems here.
That's fair. Okay. So, you know where Giotto is. Giotto at this point spends most of his days hanging out on the Weasel Raft. Honestly, like, he's just sort of taken up a lot of the watch duties of that. It's just an easier way for him to hang with you.
Hell yeah.
And kind of just like shoot the shit and not be bothered elsewhere in the expedition. So you know where to. You basically go to the Weasel Tortoise, which is, as I recall, I think that is Sedney. Yeah, that's Sedney.
Sedney.
Yeah. So you get to Sedney, and you can see Sedney's kind of like doing her usual thing. A little bit grumpy again that she's carrying weasels, but the weasels, for the most part, are pretty courteous to her. So it's a mutual thing. She sort of nods slowly as you walk by.
You
can see
feed her some crab meat.
Oh, she would love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She'd take one sniff, just, and at this point you'd realize, like, even to a weasel, like, she huge.
Yeah, she could rip
She
me apart
big.
if she wanted to.
Yeah, like, she's not quite Snapping Turtle, but, like, that beak will bisect someone. So you hold it out, and she gently takes it from you with her tongue, and then you hear just, like, that shunk, like, clack sound of her beak, like, crunching down as she pulls back and sort of, like, she doesn't really chew, but she kind of just, like, sloshes it around in her mouth, and it seems to enjoy the flavor. Giotto's a little farther off to the left, leaning against one of the sails, just kind of like enjoying the breeze. His hooked fire pike resting on the ground to sort of let him lean at an angle and hold himself upright while he's holding the base of it. So he doesn't really see you approach, but he, you don't startle him or anything. I think he can sort of tell at least a little bit when you're getting closer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to hide my presence from him or anything, but
Right.
As I approach, I kind of like nod and put my head down, like we're being secret, like Giotto,
Right.
Giotto.
And he just sort of like sees you coming. Aye, well, welcome back. And he sort of cranes his head down. So, what's the jaw tackle? What's with this? Gestures at like the two of you kind of like stooped down off the side of the ship. For the record, you can take a cursory glance around. There's no one nearby. They're used to you guys having powwows, and they know not to fuck with you all. So, even the hook-handed mouse is currently like on the other side doing his business.
Dukan has idea, needs expert smiths and tinkerers. Yes. Maybe Hedgems.
Thank you for the hydrate.
Thank you. Well, I mean, you're not going to find a better tinkerer than my people. I haven't done it in a while, but I can at least help you set up with a good workshop. Sure, we can look into that if you'd like right now. After all, when he looks up and like, the sun's getting low. We're not like super low, but we're getting there. It's not quite kissing the water yet. We have a little time before it starts going down to lights out, so we can go now if you'd like.
Before scampering off for a second, I say,
What? Hold.
and then I like rush up back into Sedney, pulling out these two crab claws, and like I like heft one and hoist it down to him, and then like grab the other and like climb back down. And kind of under my breath, I say,
Must be your own master's forge master. Weapon important. Need to make peace between us. Me, my kith, and mice.
He nods slowly. Alright, I think I see where you're going with this. And he hefts the thing up. And like, he really can't get like a good grip on it. It's kind of awkward even for both of you two. But you can kind of like grab the pincers and just like hold them up and sort of pull them up. The big thing is they smell a little bit. The meat's been largely pulled from the interior, but the connective tissue remains, and the scouring of the meat isn't perfect. Again, rock crab claws.
Yeah.
And those are like, they're basically cement level of hardness.
Yeah.
You either ruin them by cracking them open, or you kind of scour out what you can and you hope it's okay.
Yeah.
They kind of scoured out what they could, but you can smell like there be some crab funk in there still.
They'll boil it in acid, I'm sure, and lye, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll find some way to treat it and scour it out. So you two basically start your little merry journey out to the tallest tortoise in the entire expedition. Which is saying something because each of the tortoises is built up like a 3-story, 4-story building as far as mice are concerned. And even for weasels, it's like 2 stories, which is pretty significant. This thing is so big that it's literally 3.5 stories even for a weasel. It is honking huge. And as you get closer, you can smell the smell of oil rolling off of it. It's the clouds of what appear to be like black, angry smoke billowing from pipes on the top, and the loud clang of hammers on the interior, and occasionally showers of sparks coming out from the sides, all cast in the shadow of this giant, huge cannon on the very top, the singular fire lance of the expedition, short of the Invictus. Basically casting an almost like Star Destroyer-esque shadow across a couple of these different arrayed barges.
Hell yeah.
As you get closer, you can see Jado kind of just like walk over and whisper to one of the other Hedgems, and he's largely using hedgehog language, so it just sounds like skittering to you. But you can kind of get the gist of get me someone who's important. And a couple of minutes later, you can see it's actually Raphael who arrives, sort of like slowly hunkering himself across the decks until he sort of just jumps down from the top and lands. And again, Raphael is actually bigger than Jado. Like, not quite head and shoulders, but definitely a head over him. And old at this point, mostly white in terms of like quills, but still hardy and still working the forge actively. And so Raphael slowly like casts his gaze across the two of you, sees the giant crab claws. All right. What mischief are you getting into now?
Special weapons. 2 of a kind. An alliance between the 3 of us. The knowledge and application of the Hedgems. The veracity of the weasels. And the determination of the mice. A gift from me to you. From me to Gwendolyn.
Raphael's like listening quietly, and at first he doesn't say anything, but as you go on further and your intention becomes clearer to him, like he nods, scratching the scruff of like, he's like a couple little like hairs, like a little tuft of hair, at like the underside of his beard, on the underside of his like nose. It's kind of not quite like a goatee length, but he hasn't been trimming it for a while. So he sort of like worries it a little bit, and as he surveys the crab claws. All right. Let's see what you're putting down. Well, for all the many confrontations I've had with your people, never particularly held any animosity towards you. Granted, I even fought beside you at one point, however misguided I might have been at the time. But 10 years puts a lot in perspective. So, we're square. As far as these go, and he gives like a little flick on it, and you can hear like a loud like thrum goes through the shell. Any particular idea you had? Because the big issue you're going to be having with this is heft. And he sort of grabs the crab claw out of Jado's hands by the handles. Just kind of like holds and sort of shakes it to make a point. Like even for him, it's like the size of a good quarter of his body. Right. Like the thing is like it's like a hawk of it's like his thigh, all of that meat, like downward, and even then it's like over his navel, like closer to where like you and I would have like suspender height, with the claw.
So I take the halberd off of my back, which is probably not really been like looked at too clearly at this up until this point. But as I like kind of like put it in front of me and put my weight on it, I say,
This weapon has taken the lives of many mice, some hedgems even weasels. Long have I talked the message of blood across the land. No longer. This is the design, an archetype of change.
and I hand him my weapon as if to like base the shape of the claw itself when it's out in like a halberd form. And then I kind of like with the implication of how a crab claw would close, grab the claw that he was holding and say,
A unique
sorry, my throat.
a unique faculty. Two of a kind.
Alright. I think I see what you're getting at here. So it looks like you want to get yourself some kind of catch-based weapon. You want to, almost kind of like a mouse catcher, a little bit. And Jado's kind of like just looks over with an eyebrow. You don't think that's in slightly poor taste? Look, the fact that those things were used during the war has little to do with the fact they are a practical assumption for warfare, especially considering we may be ending up fighting mice. Which, by the way, Jado, if I hear you say that to anyone, I'll fucking cuff you. But, general point being, having a claw is not a bad option. A big thing is going to be working the actual parts of it in. And he sort of takes the crab claw and shows you, like, as he's working it. Like, the crab claw itself isn't like a human hand. It isn't like both the little pincer bits moves. Instead, you have a giant oven mitt, basically, on one side, and then you have a thumb. And the thumb does all the pinchy. And the other part just stays still. So, this isn't going to be able to work practically with that unless we just have it, like, catch on this side. But I think what we could rig up... Come with me! And he'll, like, gesture to the side of the rig where there's, like, this one rope. And he sort of grabs it. And there's, like, a little handle on it that comes down. Sort of just grabs it and it zips him up. Another handle comes back down for you guys. Which Jado walks over like it's the most natural thing in the world, grabs it and just zzz, and pulls him up 2 stories. And then it drops back down again for you.
Hedgems.
Grab it.
Oh boy. I'm gonna say make me, if I can move this out of the way. There we go. Make me a health roll. You'll probably be fine.
Oh boy. I have 5.
Fly, you fool.
I'm barely okay.
Oh my god, yeah, no. You didn't expect the amount of torque this thing has behind it. You were like, oh, it's probably just being pulled up by, like, some hedgehogs or something. No, you suddenly realize this thing is powered by torsion. And, like, from the interior, you just get, like, a brief glimpse. What appears to be, like, a series of flywheels with rope as thick as your legs spun around it. And as you feel it pull on you, you see the flywheels just unconnect and then zzz, like, unspool. And it just bodily heaves you up. You didn't expect it, and it sort of throws you up, and you kind of just, like, catch yourself and on your back on the top. It sort of flips you like a pancake onto the deck.
There's like an audible squeak as I land.
Thankfully, you're not hurt. You're not hurt, but it is startling, to say the least, how much force is behind that.
I get up and dust myself off.
How do you transmit yourselves by such devices? It is dangerous. Your bodies are such large things. Momentum would carry you far.
You'd think that, right? And Raphael just kind of gives you this, like, challenging grin. But for the many advantages that size offers many other species, it punishes ye. Us, we're built tough. And he literally just, like, thuds himself on the chest, and you can see, like, the metal plates all clatter together. The spines aren't just to keep predators away. They're a cushion. Prevents us from having to deal with too much impact force if we ball up. And frankly, I built the damn thing. I know how to dismount it. Also a great way to keep mice from mucking about in my workshop. And you can see, like, he's got this little tiny corner of this tortoise on, like, the 3rd floor. There's just, like, a little table. And, like, a little blacksmith's table. And a little forge. Like, that he's clearly got piped off of the main steam assembly for him to work metal on. And it's pretty cozy in there, actually. It's filled with all sorts of sketches. And he takes out a piece of parchment, lays it down, and he basically shows you what he's going to make. Which is, he's going to basically deconstruct the whole claw.
Mhm.
And he's going to only save, like, the little itty-bitty bits of the pincers, because they're really sturdy.
Mhm.
And the rest of it, he's going to basically break down into shell chunks, which he will use to both combine into, like, armor with cement, or in some cases, actually grind into, like, an epoxy cement mix,
Oh,
which he
cool.
can use to armor this thing. So when you're done, you're basically going to have this terracotta grasping tool. It's like a man catcher.
Yeah.
But likely it's going to be torsion loaded as well. So, like, to tighten it, you just sort of, like,
Twist
ratchet the handle,
Oh, that's sick.
and that'll open it up. And then when you grab, it'll shunk, and then all that weight will be all that energy will be dispersed into the claw, and it'll just crunch
that's
down.
gonna be so good for killing snakes.
So
Oh, fuck
absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely. This thing is this is a man catcher made for hunting predators, not
Fuck
for
yeah.
stopping mice.
Yeah, so,
So-
I tell him before my thing's over, then we can go over to Red. I tell him,
Okay.
Be very quiet about this gift to Gwendolyn. Between us. Yes.
He raises a paw. I swear not to say a thing. The gesture is very much appreciated, and I'll do whatever I can to speed up diplomacy between you and your kinds.
Appreciated. We'll kill many things with this.
I certainly hope so, and look forward to seeing in some of the tapestries back home. And he picks up a hammer, grabs a piece of metal, and immediately begins working on the armature.
hell yeah.
So he's going to, just for convenience sake, I'm going to say he's going to take an etching of your staff. He's literally just going to take a giant parchment scroll, unroll it on the whole thing, just take charcoal, and get the actual shape of it through that, so you can take your spear back. So you're not disarmed for the invasion tomorrow, because it's
That'd be
going to
good.
take him a couple of, like, probably a week or two to
Yeah.
make this thing at least. This is a pretty involved process.
That's fair.
So he's probably going to have a couple of apprentices helping him with this. So yeah,
Sweet.
if that's the case, then what is your objective for the session, then, my friend?
Well, it definitely ties into that. Prove to the Mousekin Dukan wants friendship between weasels and mouse. Is
Lie to the mousekin, more like it.
Prove yourself to Gwendolyn, I
Yeah.
think, is a great one to wrap it up with. So that works for me. Write that down, you'll be all good. Giles, as we zoom from the tortoise with the hedgems on it to where you are, what are you doing, my friend?
Well, I'm back on my ship, the most important one, of course. Of course, naturally. Giles is telling everybody that they are going to be the ones that will be encountering the native mice, and he's sort of gauging reactions to that.
Okay. So you're trying to you're trying to gauge the reactions of mice to what was it again? Just to make sure.
He's sort of seeing how his mice react to the idea of being the first to encounter the native
Gotcha.
mice.
All right, that's a great question. I'm gonna have you. It just feels like today is a great day for circles. Make me a circles roll, and I'm willing to give you, because you do have some serious practice in this field. Let's say I'm willing to give you Warwise as the buff to this as well. So it'll be circles plus Warwise.
That'll be 4 plus 3, so 7. Man, I always roll really high. Jesus.
Those big pools of dice can come back to bite you. I'll be real
oh
with you.
Jesus!
Yeah, how about
Christ.
that?
Not this time.
Not
God
this time.
damn.
My man, my man. That is
Your fate roll all over again.
Jesus Christ!
That is
Oh,
6
God.
successes, 3 clear
Oh.
successes, 1 failure, no traitors.
The
Damn.
dice are rigged.
Oh, St.
I don't know how you
Water's
did
over
it,
me
but
this
you
day.
hacked the programming. I'm kidding.
No.
Hashtag red wins.
Yeah, hashtag red wins. That's definitely a pass on both of those, so you can put a little check next to those. It takes you about, like, maybe 1 walk around the deck, sort of get the gauge, the feel for, like, the energy of the crew. And, you know, you have the crew of the actual vessel, which is mostly Mouse Guard, and they are not going to be on the actual beach. Their big moment is going to be the actual landing, where the barge will come up and then the tortoise will get off. That's its own set of stressors. They're not the ones who are going to be doing the fighting. The fighting mice, however, of which you can see, just generally speaking, like Arabelle and also Jeffrey, Janet of the Wolfram Guard, and a bunch of others, all clad in their gear. They are all of them, like, a tiny bit nervous. Not overly so, but just like a hair. You guys have spoken about warfare for many a year. This is probably many of their first real brushes with it. Arabelle's probably been to actual war with you. But everyone else here, they're conscripts. Willful conscripts, mind you. It was a volunteer process. They weren't truly conscripted. That's just what you would call it with your settlement. But there you go. That's their proper colors. Thank you. But they seem like they're just, if only, nervous about success, not about the actual, like, threat they face. They're not cowardly. They're concerned about the odds. After all, they all were fed off the crab that you guys encountered on that beach, and that's probably not the only crab that big they're going to encounter.
That's fair. I don't fear any crabs, though. I fear no crab.
I fear no crab.
that should be a shirt or a mug.
Crab.
I love that. That should be a mug, by the way, with Giles's face on it. Just like, I fear no crabs. It's like it's changed every time he says something.
I read an article that scientists are baffled why so many things are turning into crabs.
Cancerization. Yes.
Crab
That's
Yeah.
nature's
That
weirdest
That scared
thing.
me.
Carson.
Are we
is it
eventually all gonna
cancerification? That's
turn
a
to-
horrifying name.
Yeah.
Yeah, cancer, crab.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's cancer. I think it's cancerification. I
I thought
believe
it was
it's
like
one of those lines.
Carson or something.
Crustacean.
Crustacean nation.
Crustification.
I think it's
Crustification.
cancerification. I'll take a look.
Crab.
No, I like crustification.
Carcinization.
It's canon now.
Carcinization. There we go.
Yeah.
Carcinization.
I like cancerization and crustization better.
It's actually both.
As
It's
someone born in June, it's bullshit that the crab sign is called Cancer. Everyone's like, oh, my zodiac sign is this and this. And I'm like, I'm Cancer.
Carcinoma is like a name for cancer, which is another name for crab.
So it basically is cancerification.
Yeah.
yeah. Turning into crabs. Yeah, you gotta love that scientific like thing of, hey, it turns out crabs are really efficiently designed, so nature does what makes sense. Turns
That's
out when
scary. I don't know why I find that scary.
hey,
Intimidating.
patterns repeat because they work.
I can't wait till
I think
humanity
because
returns
I
to
read the
crabs.
Stormlight archive.
We will ascend to crab one day, Red. We will ascend to crab. Yeah, Red, you have a gauge of the crew, and they
That's
seem
what
like
the GOP wants. They want regressive policies that will turn us into crabs.
Crab
Oh,
people. Crab people.
God, I forgot about that South Park.
Return to the primordial soup, my lad.
We'll be crabs no more.
Aren't
Only
we all
LCL.
just crab people on the inside?
We're all a little crabby on the inside.
I'm feeling a little
Um,
crabby today.
I'm not a
So-
person. I'm just 5 million tiny crabs in a
That's
bodysuit.
intimidating.
That's a lot of
That
mini
is-
crabs.
That right
They're
there
very
is
small
what,
crabs.
that should be a war. That should be like the warlock terrify ability. It's just like it's not that you have like flies when you just turn into a million crabs.
Oh my god, that would be terrifying.
So Red, what's Giles doing, buddy?
All right, so after he sort of gets the read that they're more nervous about dealing with like the initial landing than they are dealing with the natives, he's gonna sort of be like, "Okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get there." And what's he do from here on? I'm trying to think. All right, so I'm gonna set my goal for this session.
Okay.
Jaws wants to befriend the natives.
Ooh. Interesting. I like that. Okay. So, befriend natives. We'll say, make first contact will be the one we'll use for you.
Yes,
So-
and Giles is going to go directly against what he was told by letting everybody know that he made
knew
contact
this
with
was
them
gonna
first, because
happen.
Giles wants to... Don't you cover your face. Giles' plan right now is to get the natives on his side in case something goes wrong.
Okay. That's fair.
Why do I
Natives
feel like I'm gonna end up cleaning up this mess? Being the mediator between you and Gwendolyn or something?
I just work here. I do not even know what you're talking about.
I don't get paid enough for this.
Miss, this is a McDonald's.
Miss, this is a
So-
McDonald's with a Scottish in it.
Let's see. So,
He had a tale of McDonald. He had a farm. He did.
and his dread foe, the mighty Grimace.
McDonald's tried to sue, it was like a bar or restaurant in, I think it was Scotland, that had been around for like hundreds of years, and its name was McDonald's. And they tried to sue them because it was too similar to McDonald's, but
Yeah,
the bar won.
That's good.
Yeah,
of course,
because it
that's
was their family
McDonald's.
name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bullshit. You can't sue somebody for having a name. Like, fuck
It's
off.
bullshit, yeah, that they tried to sue them in the first place, but I
Yeah.
digress. Sorry.
No, it's cool.
That
I
happened
love
with
these
Don
movies.
Henley in a place called Hotel California.
That's fucking funny.
I didn't know that.
I'm not pragmatic. I'm crabmatic. Thanks. I love that part.
I just saw that. That was
The most crabmatic bastard you'll find on these there islands.
All right, so- Yeah, I think that's fair, Red. We'll say that's your assessment. Is there anything else you wanted to do with your crew beforehand, or are you all good, basically letting them to be their own devices and preparing for the battle ahead of them?
Giles has never been one for like rousing speeches because he finds that those are just sort of like bullshit. Like, and he said so to his people, just like, if I give you a rousing speech, that means we're gonna lose. So, like that's pretty much how he's disclosed it. And he's just like, I'm not giving you a rousing speech because we only win here on Wolfram.
And Wolfram is where we are, not where the lands are. Not even where the wolves walk, it's where we are.
That's the closest he'll get to a rousing speech.
I think the crew would all sort of listen to sort of like there's like a grim kind of nod shared amongst all of them, like, yeah, nah, we're the family, we're Wolfram, like, we're not gonna lose. Then there's still like a little bit of like, some of us may die, but we will not die collectively.
He starts building up into a speech, even though he didn't mean to.
Ernie, when your mom slaps you on the rear for stealing from the farm, did you give up? No, you went back to that bloody farm, you bum, and you kept stealing shite. Annabelle, when I told you that you wouldn't amount to being a soldier, and then you took an arrow in the shoulder, and you came back to me and you said, I'm a soldier now. Did you give up?
Did you say shoulder?
You're a soldier now. You're a soldier now.
That would get a hearty laugh out of her, and like, yeah, no, I think that would get a laugh out of I think everyone's like laughing at this, but like it's that stress relief laugh, that very necessary purging of fear into humor before a battle.
And Mackenzie, when you angered that ant's nest and you pissed off the queen and you stomped on it with your wee fingers, did that stop you? No, it didn't. It only made you climb down into that ant hole and kill them all with your bad paws.
You can see the back. He's kind of like, yeah, I might have exaggerated that story, but yes, I get what you're saying. Like,
We all know you committed ant genocide that day.
Anticide.
The ant population of Wolfram never recovered.
Thank Christ.
Insecticide.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah. They're
No,
all
I mean,
like.
I'm the
whooping
only
and
one who
hollering.
said the joke.
I love killing.
They're all whooping and hollering, and like they are. I'm gonna say, make me a. Make me an orator roll. I will let you use Warwise, so you don't have nothing. So you got 3, Chief.
I have 3 dice.
You
can
do.
it.
Get my favorite little shoulder, Arabelle. Yeah.
Nice. Red wins again.
Easiest roll of my life.
2 passes again. 1 on Warwise, 1 on orator.
Ooh,
You just gotta get. Yo, Alec! Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, you have your choice of a fate or a persona to add onto your character sheet, which is very appropriate because, considering what we're about to go into, you might need it. We are at the 2-hour mark. How's everyone doing?
I'm
I
good.
could use a quick break.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, don't go anywhere, anybody. We're going to take a quick 5 to 10. Oh, wait, we're not done yet. I'm sorry. I just get into a flow and I hear words and my brain just starts running. I didn't mean to cut you off, Red. Please continue unless you guys were done.
No, I'm good. He's just rousing everybody before he goes ashore. I've already set my goal, and that's pretty much it.
I will say your success is resounding roars and cheers, and the crew is now as excited as you can get for war. Like, they're not actually, like, hype, but they're like, you know, they kind of psych themselves up for it. They're ready. There's, like, that grim resolve and, like, that humor of, like, we're about to die tomorrow. Which means every bad joke is okay right now. Like, we're all allowed to do whatever we need to do to get through it, and everyone here is going to understand it. And we're going to get out there and kick butt. And worst case, we die, but that would have happened anyway, and at least we'll die, like, in good company. So, like, there's a good humor among your crew at this point.
Yeah, he's gonna point to Jeffrey and Jenna.
And when you two stole that very valuable thing that I'm not disclosed to talk about, did you give up? No, you came aboard and you had a bunch of shoulders with the rest of us.
I like the idea that this, like, speech, which your character didn't mean to give, but has given, just keeps going. Like, you literally just go through every single person in the Wolfram Guard, like, pointing to them, and then just, like, you can hear in the distance just, like, and you, we got it, and, like, as it, like, sort of, like, starts fading in the background, you just hear, like, ah, like, cheering and laughter coming from low as the camera, like, slowly pans up into the night sky, and it's, like, the sound of raucous laughter occasionally from below, cutting through the clouds and the surf. And now I think we can go to that break, my friend.
Okay. Don't go anywhere, anybody. We're going to take a quick 5 to 10. We will be right back with more Njargarg. Thank y'all so much for waiting. Snake me to Snurch. Ollie, what's going on?
Damn.
Welcome back to Snail Guard, everybody.
Lord.
Don't make me dust off
Guard?
the Insect War top core game I was making for a while. That's still in my folder somewhere. I will make that.
Not so shrimple now, is it?
Oh my god.
Snipple.
All right. So, I think it's good for us to get into it. We are gonna fast forward to the next morning. It is dead quiet around the expedition, and we're not even looking at the expedition. We're looking at the beach. On the beach, as the moon has at this point descended beyond the horizon, and only the very first beginnings of the sun, not even having fully crept over the curvature of the earth out on the ocean, but just the glow of the sun on the clouds above beginning to illuminate everything. You can see a couple of small fiddler crabs plucking about at random things they can find in the surf. What's left of the body of the crab with one of its giant legs sticking out of the sand, hollowed out by the other many different animals around. There's even you can see one or two small columns of ants walking about eating things. It's pretty peaceful. And then in the distance you hear as this really strong whistle comes out over the distance, and the sound of loud sloshing getting louder and louder and closer, and out of this dark surf figures beginning to become visible as the little crabs standing on the edge of the water turn their eyes back and forth and chitter to each other and look back out again. And then they all screech and begin to sprint across the sand when they see the outlines of dozens of warships getting closer, landing skips, not like the ones you guys arrived on, but loaded to the gills with armored mice and armored weasels and hedgems, all clad for war, as the larger boats in the distance, the larger barges, are turning off to go laterally along the coast towards their destination. Derek, I think it's action time, buddy.
All right.
Can't wait for Giles Spearhead to just disappear, go so fast and far ahead of everybody else that they don't know where he went.
Alright. So, here's the trick, folks. Normally, I would have you guys do traditional combat. However, this, my friends, this is not a traditional battle. This is something else. This is true warfare.
Let's
At this point, you're not commanding individual mice, you are commanding regiments. Each of you has been given command or authority over specific things. Jakan, you're a weasel. You're probably fighting with the other two weasels who are accompanying you, or even I would say with Jado as a dual team. And in and of itself, you basically are a squad. At least in terms of military power. Obviously, Sienna, you have Cedric's patrol, which at this point is reinforced to be about I want to say 8 strong, including you, under your direct command as you board. And then finally, obviously, Giles, you have the Wolfram Militia, and they are basically a 10-deep squad of great sword-wielding and occasionally crossbow-wielding mice. So, you are all in command of troops. How this works is not unlike combat. It uses the exact same rules as combat. However, you don't have individual weapons. You have weapons of wit and strategic advantage you can utilize for this. So think outside of the box for when you're declaring your actions. You'll also be using different stats to roll this. So I'm just going to very quickly get over to it to make sure you got this right. So, for warfare, militarist is going to be the big one. I will allow Dukan, you can use hunter as well. And also on top of that, you can use Pathfinder, or I would say Instructor would be your likely options. So, describe what it is your individual troops would do, and you will be good. I will be myself, moving enemy forces about. They'll be fighting their own battles in the distance, but you guys will be dealing with basically individual foes one at a time. and basically coordinating your troops as if they were your individual bodies. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. That's pretty straightforward, really. It's not too hard. Okay, then. So, now that we are getting into it, the actual beach landing... Well, go ahead, Red. What's up?
No, it's not too hard. Introduces toughness, strength, weapon skill.
Welcome to Warhammer, guys. You're going to grab your 6-sided dice and roll pools. Don't forget your marker lights. So...
This is the Vermintide action.
So then, each of you guys makes contact on the beach, and immediately it goes into open, violent conflict. The beach erupts with activity. The little crabs that are on there largely skitter away from the large numbers of troops until dozens more come out of the surf and out of the scrub brush at the end of the beach. And then, in larger numbers, they become a little more brave and begin to blitz at you. You also see that the larger crabs begin to take notice of this activity and sort of clamber their way both from the surf and from the brush, clapping claws as they get closer, moving into these larger formations of mice, as mice nearby take up positions, fire bows and crossbows. Others bring shields up to protect each other, make little testudos with spears and with shields over themselves. Basically, everyone's fighting their own little wars. You three are going to be largely fighting at this moment what appears to be a group of crabs on your own individual parts of the front. So, I'm going to let you decide which of the 4 actions you're going to take, which is, again, attack, defend, feint, and maneuver. These are applied to a unit, so attacking with a unit is exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of like a charge. Defending with a unit is hunkering down to protect yourselves, making, fortifications or creating testudos or ranked units. The feint is exactly what it sounds like, luring opponents in with deception on a battlefield scale. And maneuvers are basically just straight up getting up and moving. So your call to decide what you're going to do. I have determined what each of them has done over here. We're going to go from... We'll start with you, Derek, because your character fights the most normally in war as they do everywhere else. You basically have access to hunter, soldier, and militarist as your options.
I think I would like to open them up with a volley, soften them up before we charge into melee and commit.
Okay. So if that's the case, then that sounds like, I would say, a maneuver, most likely. You're basically getting yourself into an advantageous position
when
for
I said
another
volley,
attack.
I mean shooting them.
No, I know exactly what you meant.
Oh, okay, cool beans.
Yeah, no, maneuver basically just means getting yourself into an advantageous position through strategic maneuvering or strategic engagement.
Okay.
So using volley fire to prepare to cross the distance could be considered a maneuver.
Okay, cool.
So if that's the case, then you can make me either a hunter. I'd say a hunter for this one. Hunter or militarist. Your call on that.
I think I'll do hunter.
Okay.
Okey-dokey.
Make me your old chief as I go to the beasts.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
a success. My hunter becomes 7 now.
Nice. Well, let's see, because you have to deal with these guys. Because their role was to defend.
Oh, shit.
Entertainingly, this is, at least the crab anyway. The crab seems to be organized slightly, but it's the organization of brutes around their lesser kin. The crabs aren't, actually issuing commands. The crabs are basically engaging in commissar strategic maneuvering, which is, do what I say or I will smash you. And the littler crabs are kind of just going with the flow. So the crab kind of pounds a claw and sort of seems to direct it around itself. And the littler crabs start to pull themselves in around the bigger crab. Let's make this roll for him. What do we got? So this is gonna be all D6s. What do we get? Okay. Yeah, much better. Alright, so that's 3 successes versus 3 successes. You're both tied at the moment.
They got a
That's a
traitor, though,
roll
right?
off. They do have a traitor, correct. So that is true. That does actually 3 successes versus 3. Yeah, actually, you win. It knocks them down. So clearly they're not quite like as able to. So as you sort of move forward, and you said you're gonna sort of like volley fire them.
Mhm.
Considering your unit is basically you and Jado is your volley fire,
Hell yeah.
and sort of like as you're fighting back to back, he steps forward and just goes, "Plug your ears!" And he takes the hook thing, locks it around his shoulder, and then you see him bring a torch up and touch the top and brace, and there's this deep bass thud. And the whole, like, all the sand on you just sort of shakes up and then settles down again as the cannon fires what appears to be a grape shot and just kind of scatters and, like, in front of you and scatters across the sand. And a couple of the little crabs just disintegrate. And the bigger crab gets struck and sort of, like, one of the cannonballs dings off its armor and just, like, slowly cranes its very alien eyes to glare at you with what has to be fury.
Yeah. I'm definitely
so-
like, running around its side and using my bow to just plink off its armor to keep its attention while my homies move in to flank it.
All right, so you are in a better position for sure. Like, the crabs are clearly they're on their back feet there for a little bit, not really sure what to do. Red, you're next, buddy. What's Giles up to with his regiment?
Well, after the volley and stuff like that goes forth, he, like I said, he's sort of like the vanguard, spearhead, whatever you want to call it. Giles has his folks in formation like this, and he's taking the lead, pushing right down the middle. And the idea is to just sort of break a line right through the middle of their defense, split them in two, and let them be dealt with it as such.
All right. So
And I'm
that's
attacking, of course.
That's fair.
There aren't 4 actions; there's just 1. So
no, I got you. It's all no. I hear what you're saying. So that's just like the definition of an attack. Your characters are basically committing to outward offensive momentum as their whole thing. So you'll be using militarist for this. You can use warwise to back it up.
Alright, militarist, I have a 6 in, and warwise I have a 3 in, so that'll be 96.
Okay.
I can't
Roll
wait to
it
watch
out.
me get 3 ones. Nope, not a single one. That's
Holy
1, 2, 3,
cannoli,
4,
Red
5, 6
wins.
Red fucking wins, baby.
4, 5, 6 successes. My
I swear
dude.
he hacked roll 20
I did.
and made it only roll 4 and up.
Okay. Well, entertainingly, you rolled really good. You did succeed on that. As the crabs, they maneuvered. And so as you charged, they basically all, began to laterally sprint. That's their whole, advantage, is they just have this decapod-like maneuvering where they can sort of laterally lunge out of the way. But the problem is that, for them, you kind of planned on this. Your whole point was to split their forces, which allows you to engage them more efficiently. And them sprinting out of the way has now taken one larger, more well-defendable group and broken into 2 smaller groups, and the larger crab in the middle, with its eye stalks, going from side to side, kind of just hissing and making spitting, bubbling sounds in frustration as it tries to coordinate these very unintelligent, smaller kin. Which seem to have completely fallen to you. So, yeah, that was well done. I'm going to also adjust that as well. That was a really good roll. So,
Red.
Thank you.
all right. Soyana, what's your plan? Attack, defend, maneuver, or feint?
Defend. I want
Okay.
to protect my mice as instructed by Cedric.
All right. So, as you make shorefall, and the little boat deck falls down, and you can see across the beach this is playing out as dozens of mice are running across the beach, just spears and halberds up, running in from the surf and against these hordes of crabs and other creatures, all clashing. In the distance, you can see mice getting picked up and crunched by the bigger crabs, as other crabs get ropes slung around their limbs and they're pulled apart. It's pretty horrifying. And as you get off the boat, they all kind of look at you and hear your command and immediately go okay, you trained for this. And the Mouse Guard are interesting. Giles, your troops are not necessarily Mouse Guard first. They are a trained war militia. They are all skilled and drilled to fight together. Dukan, you're literally a pair of lions in the middle of a battlefield.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even operating under, like, traditional warfare rules. You're literally just, like, basically, you're Jediing your way through this battle. It's pure skill on your part. But Mouse Guard, they fight like a pack of wolves. They all utilize their unique skills to work in tandem with each other fluidly. So this defensive posture very quickly becomes, to anyone else it would seem like chaos, but it's not. It's organized, intelligent motion. You see one of the folks with a shield runs up and literally is like darting back and forth, taking quills being thrown from the distance or rocks being hurled by the crabs, sort of batter them off in the distance. You see the another one of the mice nearby takes out a shovel and begins quickly digging like a trench in front and digging up sand in front of you guys so you don't have to worry about being attacked so easily. Others are immediately like lashing out with weapons to keep the crabs back. And entertainingly, the crabs also rolled a defense, as they have no idea what to do with you. Like, the charging troops, that's pretty straightforward. But like, the Mouse Guard, they're not sure how to deal with Mouse Guard at war. That's weird. So you're both gonna roll your respective rolls. So for you, I'm gonna say, Sayana, oh boy. Let me take a peek and see what you got. As I open your character sheet up, I'm gonna say you can roll Instructor, I would say, and I'll let you use Rocky terrain-wise if you wish.
Okay, I do wish, because I only have a 1 in Instructor.
It's very fair. It would either be Instructor or Hunter, but it's basically the same.
Oh no! Explode that 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And get 2 more
explode that
6s.
6.
All right, you can burn
I'm
yourself.
not red.
But that is
That's
enough to
still a
neutralize and get you to 0. So
I will spend a persona point.
Nice.
there you go.
Maybe
Good
I
stuff.
am red.
Mm,
Call me
Perhaps.
pink.
mm. I don't
Nice,
think I
I
want
love
people to
that.
call you that.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know. It just sounds offensive.
Hey, Pink.
So, entertainingly, the crabs on the other side away from you are kind of also as mystified. Like, you're basically like both of you kind of like testing the water against each other, and neither of you is really doing anything meaningful. Like, the crab on the other side of you sees what's going on down the beach, and this one seems to be a little smarter, and like immediately just takes its giant claws and scoops earth up in front of it and makes a wall of sand between you and them.
Hey, that's our move.
Yeah, you're basically both making trenches apart from each other, but neither of you two have guns or mortars or bombs to throw at each other, so it's kind of just like from over the sand dunes. Yeah, pretty much. So as you sort of fortify your respective positions, you do a little better. Like, you can see that your guard are more well-trained and they're more versatile, whereas they're kind of operating on pure instinct. So you can see as they're like building these fortifications, one guard in particular is kind of like giving you like a look like, hey, we can break out here if we need to. And they sort of like look at the one side where it's intentionally made to collapse in on itself, which is like a gentle tap. So you guys can just break out of your fortifications and run before they can see them clamber over. They just kind of made a wall. So you succeed. And you have actually... This is one of those weird instances I actually have to have 2 sets of dice. You've actually furthered your position. You are no longer at 6, you're now at 7.
Nice.
So you basically have extra health in this battle as a result of your strategic positioning. Okay.
Ha. A 2-inch trench? Everyone knows it's a 2.5-inch trench. Noobs.
Warfare 101,
So-
scrub.
As the battle unfolds across the beach, you can see that for the majority of the battlefield, things seem to be going pretty much the same. I'm gonna roll right here very quick. That's that. Be that. Okay. It is a bloody, brutal battle currently unfolding. Thankfully, the mice seem to be keeping casualties on their own to a minimum, but there are a number of felled or injured mice across the battlefield bleeding into the sand. Whereas there are many crabs and other animals that are being felled. There's a large amount of dead starting to pile up in the surf and on the sand, which I would like you guys to make me either a hunter roll or a survivalist roll. And that's for all of you.
Nice. Derek wins.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. I don't have either hunter or survivalist.
Okay, so yeah, you need to roll it then.
I rolled survivalist, but
You did succeed. So Sienna, what you know is the fact that when large amounts of dead begin to appear, that can attract scavengers. What that might be, you think it might be more crap.
equals.
Yeah. Also, maybe the birds. Whereas, yeah, you, Jakan, you know it's seagulls. At least gulls are going to be here any minute. And honestly, it's probably going to get worse as the sun has finally crested the ocean and begun to pour light across the whole battlefield. And all the diurnal creatures are finally getting up and getting ready to emerge onto the beach. So, off to the right, off to the far, like I guess for you guys, that would be the west. You guys can see that one of the barges is leaving that little alcove that you found without a tortoise on it, which tells you that at least one of the tortoises has already disembarked. So you're doing what you need to do. You just got to do it for a little longer, and then you'll have an actual like wall of walking fortresses to back you up. And that'll probably be the end of this battle when that happens. So you're basically stalling for time. So then, what is everyone's next moves as I'm literally not looking here. Okay. There we go. I am ready. What are your moves, everyone? We'll start in the same order. Yep.
I'm gonna attack this time. We're gonna go after the big crabes.
Okay. Going for the attack on the big crabes. So...
Oh no, that's not great. That's still a success, technically.
It is. And in this instance... Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to read this one. This one's interesting. Let's see. So this isn't a defense. Okay, so this is an independent... These are independent rolls, I believe. Let's see. An attack the faint player may not attack a defense. Okay, cool. So, yeah. You blitz your way forward. I'm not going to be able to make a roll against this entertainingly because they chose to feint. Which, fun fact, in warfare, when you have cunning plans, a bunch of screaming dudes with swords very quickly mess those up. As you come basically blitzing at these guys. The crabs were clearly getting ready to sort of rapidly reposition themselves and maybe even lure you guys into a disadvantageous position, but they weren't planning on you to be here this soon. So how are you making this attack? Because this is pure damage. They have no contesting roll. You caught them with their pants down.
So I'm just gonna be climbing on to the big ones with my boy Giotto. We're gonna be back to back in the thick of it, facing off probably two big fuck off crabs at the same time. That the other weasels are fucking up their back legs and shit, and we're just we're two brothers, and there's a giant crab. If you know that Rick and Morty bit, that's what
yeah. Two brothers. It's called Two Brothers. Two brother Mexican Alien cat invasion moon, but there's more.
That's
us.
No, we're two brothers.
But I mentioned they're brothers.
The attack is brutal. The crabs were already kind of a little distracted by the mice nearby, and then it went from, oh, there's these two really dangerous predators kicking butt in the middle of this area, sort of just holding their own, and suddenly they're backed up by two additional weasels, and they're all gunning at the same target. Suddenly this has gone from oh, this is just this is two lions playing with food to this is a pride of lions murdering their way. Yeah, this is a whole nother degree of lethality they weren't prepared for. The crabs you guys attack practically fall apart. Dukan, you tear one of them apart, literally limb from limb. It dies burbling. Whereas the other one doesn't even get that as Giotto runs up, grabs one of its legs with his hook, pulls to bring it down, and then immediately crouches and discharges his cannon point blank into them. It's sort of everywhere.
Fuck yeah, dude.
As the weasels begin to hack one of the other ones apart. that particular part of the front is clearly pushing forward. This is why they wanted weasels on this expedition.
Hell yeah.
Red, what are you doing, buddy?
Well. Since they sort of just like broke through right through the middle, which of the two halves is looking better?
Right now, your front is currently... It's interesting. Your front is making more headway, but Cyana's front is in a better defensive position. So, like, if things go south for your troops, you might be exposed to more risk. Whereas Cyana is not really making much movement forward, but the risk she's facing is very mitigated. So basically, that front will not collapse. Your front, if things go south, might, but you're in a better chance to capitalize on your opponent's failures than your own. If that makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have to consider this from... I'm going to attack. So let's... So which of the two sides of the crabs, because I split them in half, which of them is looking stronger at the moment?
At the moment, it would probably be the one more rightward leaning on your side. I guess it'd be on the east side, on the slightly more eastern side of the beach, because the big crab is sort of like scuttled over there to sort of like, I don't want to say yammer at them, but like basically hiss bubbles at them until they get into good order. Which his presence there basically means that's the more dangerous fight. Whereas the other crabs on the other side are kind of just all like doing little zoomies in a circle, which is their defensive maneuver.
Okay, so my question would be, that would determine what I want to do here is, do the crabs have a lookout, sir, rule?
No, they do not have a lookout, sir, rule. You can, if you'd like, go for the gusto
I
and
can
try
just immediately go for the El Capitan.
You could totally try to kill the big
Kill
crab.
the warlord, bro.
El Capitan de
Plus
crab.
1 victory point.
Hell yeah, baby.
All right.
It's 2 in 9th edition. Oh, it's...
It's still there. It's still there. It's like the thing that always decides all my battles is who killed the warlord, and then when we both kill the warlord, it's who did the obscure thing once. Fuck.
Did you deny the witch? No, did you? Let's see. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go for a straight up attack on the actual head crab. The king crab, dare I say. Let's see. So that's militarist and war-wise?
Yes, that's correct.
Alright. Giles might do this by himself, actually. He might just have everybody clear away for him so we can get to the big crab. Let's see, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then 2... I'm gonna explode that 6.
Load up.
Okay.
Spending a fate. Come on, baby. Yeah, baby. So that's a total of 2 successes. Do I think I need more than that? That is the pressing
There's
question.
always a bigger success.
There is.
There's always a bigger crab.
That is pretty brutal right there. So that's 2 successes, basically.
1, 2, 3, and then the -2, and then...
Yeah. Yeah, because it's 4 minus 2, so you're looking at 2 successes total. Here's the funny thing. The crabs there weren't like... They were kind of all doing their own thing, and from what you can see as you charge, it looks like they were planning on sort of exploding out of formation and just skirmishing rapidly. But, again, this is a case of a bunch of charging dudes against cunning plans. Charging dude wins. They rolled a feint versus your attack, and you caught them flat-footed.
Ooh.
So that is pure damage to them. Which, by the way, they only have 6 health, and I'm literally counting successes as, like, removing their health. So they're as bad... Basically, your flank is now, like, they're broken. As you charge through... What do you do to the big crab? Because you definitely kill it. You catch it flat-footed.
We went through, like, Vanguard Blitzkrieg style, got to the other side, and then, like, inverted it, and Giles is like this, and they're pushing right back through on the other side, and Giles goes straight for the main crab as the rest of them are holding them off. Giles is just like, hold them off, lads! I'll take care of the big bastard! So Giles is gonna, like, take his sword, like, run up to him high guard style, and just, like, swing it down as hard as he can. He knows he's not gonna cut through this thing, but he's like, hitting it so hard that he, like, cracks its carapace.
Oh, absolutely. Like, You and I'm willing to say you and Arabelle both kind of like blitz out of the formation to do this, as the rest of them sort of all come forward, like blades flashing. For the most part, like normally against a crab like this, the best thing you could do is like batter at its limbs. But you guys actually wield great weapons, which are sharp enough and heavy enough to cleave through this kind of thing. So you all kind of like advance as the troops sort of like sprint forward beside you, hacking at limbs as you guys go straight for the actual crab and just kind of crack its shell open. And the thing just and like falls and hits the sand as it literally just sort of gets torn open by you guys. And many...
Spectrum thank you for the raid, guys. Thank
Oh,
you.
Spectrum,
Raiders.
Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you so much.
welcome. You're in the middle of warfare.
Giles
Welcome
is
to
gonna
the
take
start.
his as this thing falls. Giles is gonna climb on top of it, take its eye stalk, and hack it. He's like, "Look upon me and fear." He's gonna like fucking try to intimidate the rest of the crowd.
Make me. I'm gonna give this to you because that's actually pretty awesome. Make me a. We'll say an orator roll for me, Red. I'll let you add Warwise to this as well.
Yes.
Thank you for the biddies, Natalie.
Aw.
Warwise orator. That'd be 3d6. Nice.
Oh my God, Red.
Red
Um,
fucking wins, baby.
You know what the funny thing was? I was putting your success at the remaining troops numbers, and like, yeah, they only had 2 left. So,
nice.
Yeah, so Red, you leave him just sort of like, look upon me in fear, and you like slash off one of the thing's like eyes, just hold it up, and like all the other crabs nearby just like stop moving, like adjust their eyes up, and they all immediately sprint and just scatter. Like it's like watching someone drop like a bag full of marbles onto the ground, sort of splits, and they all go in different directions. And the crabs just all like someone dropping something on the ground, just all like scatter in every direction. Some sprinting the surf, others sprinting the holes. The center flank is completely collapsed.
He's just like pointing at the crabs as they're running away.
Side self follow, smiles upon ye this day.
Just pointing at them as they're running away.
I think it'd be safe to say, Dukan, again, you don't really truly understand crab, but you understand enough of wild speak to know like what they're all basically doing the crab equivalent of screaming every man for themselves. Like you're literally just like a continuing of like terror as they just like blitz away. All cohesion loss. Even the crabs you're fighting are kind of like doing that sideways sweat eyebrow emoji, kind of looking at that part of the battlefield. Santa, what be your plan this time?
Believe it or not, going with defense again, because you said we're just biding our time. So listening to the words of her mentor, Cyanna decides that it's better to stay on the defense than to actively try and engage these crabs in, in a fight, unless it's absolutely necessary.
That's perfectly fair. So yeah, as you do this, so you command your troops to basically dig in harder, make this flank a bastion, which, I swear to God, I rolled these dice. The crab on the... They are! The crab lord is watching you do it, and you're getting this feeling that, like, it's almost kind of competing with you to see, like, who can make a better fortification. So go ahead and make your roll. I'll let you do instructor and, again, rocky terrain-wise for this. As it does its own roll. Dude, that is so good. Let's see.
Oh yeah, but can you do better than... Oh no.
Explode those 6s.
This is a great time for a persona point.
Oh, I explode them 6s. I want to say them crabs painted all over the shore.
Oh, and it keeps going. It keeps going.
Keep on going, lass.
Okay, so you have the other 6 to roll, because you had 2 6s there.
Nice.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. That pushes you back up to, actually that matches you. Entertain. Wow, that really does. No, it doesn't. You do beat them. This wasn't a contested roll because again, defense versus defense is independent.
Still,
You're both
my defense
shoring
is
up defense.
better.
Yeah, it is.
I'm better.
As you're kind of just
I'm
like,
I just imagine like my mice do a little bit and the crabs mimic it, and Ziona's like getting more and more frustrated, like, okay, now do this. And my mice do it and they imitate it until finally she does something that they can't do and she's like, ha.
like literally, you're just like shore up that front line. Like a couple guys like run over and immediately start digging. Like the one with the big shield doesn't shield anyone at this point. It's using his shield, this giant peve shield, like a shovel to like move soil and sand out of the way. You're getting to like the sticky, like water-clogged sand, where it's more like hardy and durable. That it's starting to like pound in, and you're basically making a sandcastle at this point. Like, you turn like, no, that side, shells in the wall, keep them from breaking through. And like, you know, a couple like run over with seashells and ram it into the sand and kind of like fortify it that way. And you see, oh no, crabs come around the corner. A couple like little tiny white crabs, ghost crabs come like peeking around the corner. And one of the mouse in your patrol just like immediately takes a crossbow and fires in their directions. The crabs just scatter away. Clearly like going, okay, so that's a part of the fortification we can't test. And as you look over, you can see like the other crab is literally doing the same. As like a couple of your troops are like sort of skirmishing on the edge of their fortification. And the big crab is just kind of like, nope, hammer down and like smashing anywhere near them they get close. And eventually like you get this one moment of like, wait, they don't have hands. They can't build, they can only really dig. And so you're just like, quickly, wood, pylons forward. And it's like a couple of them like grab like wood pieces and thistles. Yeah, just like stick, like basically you're making like a fusillade in front of your like little area. So you're building a little fortress out there.
Sand mud fortress.
Yeah. This is literally like sort of becoming Unreal Tournament's facing worlds on that part of the battlefield.
Natalie's out here with 2,000 APM, like, we're fucking respecting it.
Natalie's officially playing StarCraft, where everyone else is playing like
Total War.
You guys are wasting your time trying to attack these crabs. I'm outwitting these crabs.
You're playing StarCraft. Derek's playing either Monster Hunter or Shadows of Over Mordor, and I'm playing Total War.
Yeah, it's pretty
I'm
accurate.
3D chess with these crabs.
3D chess.
And the enemy crabs are currently sitting at like you're both pretty durable actually right now. The crabs are in a slightly less advantageous position though, and they are starting to look mighty lonely on their side of the battlefield. Realizing now that they are being outnumbered on one flank completely collapsed and the other flank about to. Again, we go to like that mid-round of like zooming across the battlefield, and the mice in the mouse expedition are pushing forward hard. At this point, you're no longer seeing just like skirmishing troops in the first waves or second waves. We're in like third or fourth wave. We're seeing the mouse expedition really bring to bear their true lethality. As like in the distance, the Invicta is getting closer to shore, clearly getting ready to bring its cannons to bear. You can see that the latest of the barges landing on the shore, like the little landing skiffs, aren't just discharging like mice in skirmishing cloaks and light gear. They're discharging mice in full plate with like huge like mauls and shield teams moving up. Hedgehogs dropping out with like these large double-barreled underslung cannons. They're wielding basically in like two-man firing teams. Like this is like gone full-on like D-Day invasion at this point. As another one of the barges discharges and sails away, with another one following shortly behind it. So it is going very swiftly. And yo, Six-Pack Bear with the sub.
Six-Pack, thank you so much for the sub. Oh my goodness, thank you.
Thank you for taking advantage of September.
Oh yeah, much appreciated.
As opposed to Domtober.
Domcember.
Domtober.
I will say, everyone, make me once again a hunter roll, or either a hunter roll or a survivalist roll. Your call.
No.
Oh no.
Nope. So
I've got neither. So
Natalie, you rolled d8s.
Wait.
Oh, yeah,
I was gonna say, I was like, how did I get an 8?
Natalie really is playing 40 chess. She's using better dice than most.
Oh, you guys are rolling with a G6? So why are you just rolling with a D8?
I love Switch Timber. That's so good.
Switch Timber? I dig it.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty good.
will
Switch to
burn
let's
a
go.
persona
Dom Summer.
point.
Okay.
I
You're
think.
gonna
Wait,
need
what?
two
What
at
did
least. You're gonna have to do 2 at least.
Yeah.
Oh, that's treatable. What did you roll, Red? I don't see yours.
I don't have survival or hunter, so I don't even know if Omni's gonna let me roll.
You can roll your mouse nature for this.
I'll roll
Let me
in
see
nature.
what
better
you get
yet,
first.
I'll let you roll your base roll, so that's gonna be 1 die, and you also will get war-wise because you are committed to war,
Ah.
so you do benefit from it. As I pull my hair into a
Motivation.
giant top knot.
1
Okay, Red, you are
That's
the
better than me.
you are the
Mhm.
only person who has succeeded on this roll. Weirdly,
Oh, lovely.
well, this is probably because your flank has utterly collapsed, or so your adversary's flank has completely collapsed, and you are basically at this point like walking across the sand, positioning yourselves, taking a brief breather as your troops are like cheering and basically getting themselves reforming ranks. And as you do, you look across the beach and you see that like there's far fewer mouse bodies than there are crab bodies. But there's a lot of crab bodies, and the smell of the surface beginning to smell a lot like decay and death. And in the distance, you can see a very distinctive shape on the wind. And that would be wings.
Oh,
Getting
no.
closer.
Lovely.
You have 1 more round before the birds will be upon you.
Oh no,
Um,
not the birds.
Can I retroactively roll to know that?
No, that's
No.
all right. You're gonna hear
No.
you're gonna hear Giles like he's gonna just slam it like the tip of his sword into this crab and just crack it in half, and he's gonna let out his very sharp whistle and he's gonna say "Birds!" like as loud as he possibly can, and he's gonna gesture for all of his soldiers to like hold their swords like this. So as soon as the birds come down, it's gonna impale them.
I love that. Yeah, your troops
Surfing
immediately,
tonight, boys!
your troops immediately get into defense positions and getting ready to deal with the oncoming birds. You have maybe one more round to maneuver freely before the birds are on you. So this is your like last round before the birds make everything a mess. So
Damn
we're gonna
birds.
go again to Dukan. Dukan, what's your plan of attack? What you doing?
We're gonna continue prioritizing Big Crabe and trying to destroy their command centers.
Okay. Thankfully, the good news is the commanders are again kind of just like really feral and largely directing through brute force bullying their troops. So yeah, easy to spot the enemy's commanders.
There we go.
And let's see, entertainingly, Jesus Christ, I swear I'm rolling these.
That's a
I
chunk
swear
of
I'm
oil.
rolling these. Okay, there we go. Damn, Derek. So that is pure damage again because these guys keep trying to feint and they're idiots. But you're powering through them.
This
Um,
time it'll work.
This time, maybe this time it'll be different. As they're reenacting the definition of insanity, trying to change things up. But yeah, no, you, Jado, and the 2 weasels just spearhead through, and what appears to be again like another cunning, low animalistic plan to lure you into disadvantageous terrain doesn't work when they're still in the terrain and you're not. So you kind of just leap into them before they can escape, and suddenly they find themselves unable to retreat. They're dead. Like,
Yeah.
you waste that crab,
It's-
those groups of crabs.
It's pretty brutal. We're not really like taking the time to end them rightly as much as we are just like severing parts at the segmented joints and what have you, and then just leaving them to bleed out and moving on to the next one. It's brutal business.
Yeah, it is definitely, this is blade work. 100%. This is the practical side of warfare. You are removing the threat. A lot of the small crabs, again, like as soon as their leaders are dead, they just kind of foo and scatter everywhere like marbles dropped on a floor. Just sprinting, screeching as in like mild terror as they flee, now fully untethered from anything resembling a higher level of command or intelligence. They are now prey animals, clearly aware they are prey, and they are sprinting for their little lives.
I just grab one off the ground and I just like bite it in half. Definitely.
It's like the juiciest taco you've ever had, just kind of around your jaw as you bite into it.
It's
I'm
so
burning a
bad.
lot of calories, you know.
I love juice tacos in the morning.
That whole flank is just gone. Red, you have an opportunity to now support any flank you'd like, but considering that there's only one flank left, did you want to do that, or did you want to hunker down where you are? Because right now, Natalie is basically in like the most well-defended portion of the beach. Like, she has effectively made earthworks. Sienna has effectively, with her troops, made an earthworks on the beach that's reasonably defendable. Whereas the crab opposite has basically made also an earthworks, a little more haphazard and feral in design, but it works well enough. So over there you have facing worlds going on. What are you doing?
I think Giles is actually just kind of intent on standing his ground, and he's just gonna kill the goals as they come to.
Okay.
Once you've had one taste of blood, you want to just keep going. It's a
I'm
vicious
gonna-
Been
cycle.
hanging out with Dukan too much.
I'm gonna have you make me...
Perhaps.
Oh boy. Okay. This is one last time I'm gonna let you do this. I'm gonna have you make me... Wild Country Wise. And... Scout. I know that would literally just be Wild Country Wise, but if you succeed on this, or fail on this, it'll be a pass or a fail on Scout. So that should be 2 dice.
2d6.
Yep.
Nice.
There you go. Passes on both. Super relevant, by the way, because I'm gonna say right now, this is me as the GM being like, I'm gonna let you know a little something. Your character was already looking up at the birds as they get closer, and then you realize that wing structure, that's not gulls. There are some gulls, like they're coming in lower, but the thing you saw at a greater distance because it was bigger. And the shape of it is very distinct. Long, flowing, graceful wings, slender, thin, gangly legs, a long neck almost like a serpent, and a head like a spear coated in a tuft of feathers. My friend, those are herons, or at least a heron and egrets coming your way.
Oh no.
We literally have them in our apartment complex.
Those are big
Yeah.
birds. Those are fucking huge birds.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Absolutely beautiful in nature to observe for humans. But in case you all don't know, the usual method of hunting for an egret or for a heron is to stab animals with their beaks and then eat them. And you all happen to... Yep. And you all are the exact size of their usual prey. Just land-based, not sea-based. So, Red, this is going to be much harder than the threat of pushing off a couple of seagulls. So, I just wanted to let you know, this is not you committing to an action. This is me letting you inform your action, whatever it is. You have at least one heron and probably 2 egrets descending on this beach.
That's a lot of bird. So here's what Giles is gonna do: as he's gonna spin his hand around and point forward, and he's just gonna start sending his people into the tree lines.
Okay, it's perfectly fair. So if you're
give
gonna,
them fair warning about birds.
that's perfectly fair. So if that's the case, then Red, you are removing your troops from the battlefield as you advance them into the tree line, and your troops just together, forward, charge, and they all just like sprint across the sand into the grass and towards the forest in the distance. As behind you, you can hear more mice just pump their fists as they see that the battlefield has been crossed. This is officially now a landing. As more troops arrive behind you. So
Nice.
I'm not a coward. I'm just smarter than you.
I'm advancing.
So,
In the opposite direction.
Sienna, it's all on you. What are you doing?
Hearing Giles yell birds and having already set up an defensive position, we're going to continue with defense. So I have all of the mice with shields you've ever seen 300, where
Yep.
they all like use the shield. Yeah, we're basically gonna do that, but more overhead, also around the sides. Just fortify our position and make sure once this herring lands, if he's gonna peck, he's gonna be pecking at shields. He's not gonna be pecking directly at mice.
All right. Entertainingly, so like I said, I've been rolling their actions. They are animalistic. They are operating off of pure instinct. It appears the crab has just decided it is time to make its move. It is
Come
attacking.
at me.
This is
Come
a
at me,
versus
crab.
roll. So,
That's a crab attack.
that's going to be the same roll you've been making. So, you can use for this, that would be rocky terrain-wise, and also I'll let you have, in this instance, instructor. Roll it out. It's a good thing these crabs have really shit rolls.
Nice.
Good thing I have a decent roll.
You actually succeed. So the crab on the other side has been watching this whole time, and like for the most part, at this point, your earthworks have been built up respectively so high that like what was once this large, terrifying, towering animal, now all you can see are the two black antennae, like the two black eyes, like peering over the top, Mr. Crab style, and watching as you're doing things. And they see you armor your shields up, and it just sort of like busts through the front of where its little sand area is, and you can see it actually made it so that like it collapses inward in an organized manner.
You
And
fool.
it kind of blitzes across, claws raised, smashing at your fortifications, and they're really tough. So yeah, you actually repel them without even losing any health. Like you just sort of, between the shields and the few mice that you have that again have crossbows, slings, one of them as it gets closer, he pulls out a hook and throws it and just catches one of the little crabs, skewers it and just yanks it in, and it just sort of makes a little and immediately dies. It's like it's flung behind him, and the big crab immediately just like stops like mid-charge and watches as its little like baby crabs hit your fortification just like a wave, wash over it, and immediately sprint back towards the big crab like a, please protect us, this isn't working. And the crab just kind of like, you can see its eyes just sort of like shake annoyingly and like slowly begins to scamper backwards, having completely failed its attack. You've managed to repel them once again. And that actually does reduce
3D chess.
them. Entertainingly, they are still in a better position than many of the mouse units across this battlefield, but that actually does start to whittle away at the crabs. It is time for the arrival of the birds.
Oh, no.
So,
Ready.
and thank you, by the way, Acronym. Anyone else who is interested out there, it is like between this and Scott Buckley. Alexander Nakarada is an amazing artist who does largely fantasy music. Scott Buckley does a lot of epic fantasy, a lot of like epic movie-esque music. All of it is non-copyright. I highly recommend you check them out. So, at this point, you hear in the distance the soft fluttering of wings over the sound of the surf, and just a shoo sound as like one of the herons flies in, and without even flapping its wings, it's like slowly circles, spreads its wings out, and brings its feet down, and you can see just a mouse beneath, raising its shield and its sword to fight, and the foot just pushes the mouse into the ground, and they just disappear in the sand as it stomps down, lashes out, and shanks its head down like a dagger, almost like a whip, like a dagger rope, and just spears a crab through, and the thing instantly dies. And I'm talking one of the big rock crabs.
Oh, Jesus.
Instantly gets killed.
Are there beaks that strong in real life?
Their beaks are actually strong enough to spear through fish scales. Like,
That's insane.
they're really tough. Granted, that thing's been getting pulled apart by mice for the past couple minutes, so that's probably the real reason it died. But its stat roll, I didn't even need to roll. I've been keeping track of what's been going off on the side, and like, it's not a comparison. We're not on a whole nother level of warfare. So, flanking it, two of these smaller white birds very similarly land nearby, and immediately, almost like the Martian walkers, from the War of the Worlds, like begin striding across the surf and occasionally just peck down, and you'll see a mouse shriek and then just like blood, or a weasel or a hedgehog scream and again like stabbed through. Crabs sprinting and then crunch, grab, gulp as these things begin to tear their way across the battlefield. These things are doing damage. So much so that even like the weapon teams of the Hedgems are beginning to train their weapons on them. So, there's now 2 forces left on this battlefield, and in the distance behind you guys, you can see like the last of the barges are beginning to disengage. There's only like 1 barge left to land. So you have to survive at least 1 turn with these things on the beach, at least, before you can like have your reinforcements arrive. So what's your plan, guys? Since there's only 2 of you now. Red, you've disengaged from battle.
I gave them fair warning, so...
You did! No, you did, honestly. Your decision to maneuver your troops out of the way... I'm going to be real with you, Chief. Moving them out the battlefield was the right move, because they were going to go right to the first exposed troops, which were the Mouse Guard on the farthest east, unfortunately. Sienna, your fortification is actually probably the reason they didn't attack you immediately. And Dukan, you're literally like a flailing bunch of weasels and hedgehogs with guns.
Yeah,
like, you're literally not... Yeah, like, you're not the easy prey here. So you will probably eventually have a visit from these things very shortly. But, like, yeah, no, you've been spared the worst of it. So then, Dukan, you're first, as I now have to roll for these things.
I'm going to meet them burbs first. I'm going to slink my helmet into heavy armor and, like, with a look at Jado, like, kind of nod and then just charge in and give it my Kanye best.
All right, buddy. So,
that's explosive. That is not ideal. So we're going to spend a fate there.
Yep. Right now you're currently sitting at...
fuck. Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy. It keeps exploding, though. So, entertainingly, that is 0, 0, -1, -1, 0. You have achieved a net 0 roll.
So, Persona.
That is after the...
Persona again.
Okay, you have 1. Entertainingly... I'm assuming that, like, right now, the Heron is not something you can immediately charge. You're able to charge at the Egrets. The Heron's kind of just doing its death murder machine thing a little further away, so you're able to get closer to the 2 Egrets that have landed nearby. As sort of like its vanguard. And as you approach, the Egrets, they're kind of doing their own thing. They're not here for war. They're here for breakfast. This is just a particularly hearty buffet this morning. Normally there's like 1 or 2 dead things on the beach they can peck at, or like they go and stab minnows in the surf. But they're like, oh man, who prepared this amazing feast of like lots of dead rodents and like crabs everywhere?
Okay.
This is amazing. Yeah, so they're just here having a good time. Not at all expecting like 3 weasels in plate mail with like halberds and great weapons and a literal hedgehog with a 22 pistol sprinting at them. This was not what they planned on. They were making a feint maneuver. You have attacked. They get no roll. So they just straight up take damage. However, they're pretty big. So the damage you do is you hurt them. You start chopping into them and cutting them up, but bird feathers and bird skin is surprisingly tough. And these creatures are nimble, agile, and highly violent. So you lash out aggressively and try to chop at these guys, and it just sort of stabs at you, like putting you on the defensive. Before, you were kind of fighting like against... It wasn't a fair fight. It was kind of like a Dark Souls boss where like you have enough folks you can just bully them. This is not that battle anymore. You are now fighting against a foe that absolutely has your number and is fighting you toe-to-toe, even when outnumbered. Yeah. Even the gun is enough to drive these creatures away, as Jado fires his cannon, and the Egret, as opposed to not getting hit because it is, you know, so dug in, simply flies out of the way and lunges at Jado, whose armor protects him.
My boy.
So, yeah. You're kind of just, like, stabbing at each other in this like whirlwind fight. They are slightly disadvantaged. They are somewhat hurt. That is, they're at 8, I believe, left. Cyanna, I'm going to say at this point that the heron turns its attention over to your side of the battlefield. It is flying towards you. You don't know which part of the battlefield it's heading towards, you or the crabs. But it is heading towards your side of the battlefield. So, your decision, what do you want to do?
Tried and true, let's stick with our defense.
Okay. Entertainingly, I've rolled this out again. The crab was going to faint. Poor dumb thing. And the heron is going to attack.
Cool. Also, I realize that my rocky terrain does it go up in game, or do I have to
Yes.
wait till? Okay.
Nope.
then my
Every
rocky
time you guys
terrain
level up an
went
ability, you instantly get it. Yeah, that
I've been
applies for all
forgetting
future
to mark
rolls.
that off.
No worries. Once you fill that up, just make sure you erase the whole row and you're good to go.
Oh, yeah, I did mark my
Yeah.
face.
Okay, so roll your defense. I'm going to roll the heron's attack, and we'll see how horrifying the damage is, as it is attacking both of you.
We'll use my last fate to explode that.
Okay.
Nice. Keep
Yes.
it going.
It keeps going, keeps
Oh,
going.
fuck.
I
All
have
right.
Persona. Okay.
There you go. That's one
There
success.
we go. One
Versus...
success. I would like to explode more. Or not explode more, but...
If you want to add more dice, you totally can.
I have 3... Who are you rolling for? The crabs
They
or
have
the...
5 successes.
No, that's for the heron. The crab doesn't get to roll because the crab fainted against an attack, and the heron's attacking both of you too because the thing is a wingspan to darken the sky for you all. So
I only have 3 left, so yeah, even if those are all successes, that's not going to beat that.
okay, so yeah, that's 5 successes after it negating its 6 with a 1. The crabs that you were fighting against, entertainingly, only had 6 health left, and so. The crab on the other side, again, has been like just sort of eye stalks locked on your fortification. You sort of peer through the shields as you see the crab like getting ready to do something to attack you, like gesturing towards that. And then just this large yellow foot on its back, like just flattens it into the sand. You hear a sound as it like brings up its crab claws to clasp, and just the beak comes down and bisects one of the claws at the elbow, and then just shunks in through the front of the crab, and you just see its eyes stalks droop, and it immediately goes dead. As this thing just kills it on its landing, and all the little crabs immediately scatter and sprint. As it turns towards you, and its giant, one baleful yellow eye fixes you, and it begins to stalk closer, and it sort of looks, turns its head, tink, and it just like literally brings its beak down and pokes at the shield wall, and it's tentative. But tentative from a heron is devastating to a mouse. And you see one of the mice nearby immediately just go, ah! And as it was holding the shield, and it just collapses under it, and you hear a snap as one of its legs break, trying to bear the weight from the impact.
Immediately run up and take his place. I just grab his shield and just shove it back up at the heron.
Okay, so your fortification was at 9, is now down to 8. You're still you're in a good position, but you saw how many dice this thing rolls.
Yeah. that's scary.
Hold tight, men.
Yeah.
Hold tight, mice.
Mhm.
Meese.
Mies.
Mises.
So, we finally have the last moment where you see off from behind as you're holding up the shield. You kind of like look out into the west, and you see the last barge slowly like moving out of the little harbor where you guys chose for it, and you just hear in the distance a sound as horns begin coming through the grass, and a large crunching sound as tortoises in full armor begin to emerge from the landing zone,
Hell yeah.
like clad for war. All the wood on their bodies like reinforced with what looks like sheet metal laid on top of it, and including like the one large one with the hedgehogs on top, which it looks again like Howl's Moving Castle. It's this really awkward looking thing until you see the giant fire lance on top rotate with a loud clack, size up the heron, And
Ooh.
let's see what we got.
Pretty good.
Okay, that could have been way worse. Fires an incredible boom as you see this thing literally fire a shot, and from your angle, you can actually see it coming towards you. It hits the ground in front of you, this little spinning ball. It hits the ground, skips, leaving this explosion of sand behind it, and then zip, flies by and catches the heron on one of the wings, like the outside of its wing. And you just hear like a ah sound as like a feather and blood spurts off, and it looks down at its wing and then looks up, and there's like a realization in its eye. As off the coast, you hear another, and this one's a little bit closer. And he's gonna push that. He actually has been banking a lot of his dice for this. There you go, Preston. Preston's actually an old player character, so he has some of his old player character stats. There you go. That's not bad. Okay, so that is enough. Where the heron sort of gets like damaged by the impact, looks at the one like tortoise with the giant cannon walking towards it, and it doesn't see that the Invicta has pulled in pretty much like right off the shore, and its cannon eyed on the heron, and just an epic triple bang as the thing fires a 3 deep volley of cannonballs packed in, and they just all skip across the surf and just like catch the heron and smack it apart and sort of disintegrates in front of you.
Let's go.
I'm gonna also just very quickly just mention, like, I have been rolling for them in the background, and they've been motoring to get here. Like, they needed a bunch of 6s to get there, and they did, so
Nice.
good stuff. This is why it's a good thing you saved the Invicta earlier in the campaign. And with that, the battlefield begins to slowly become stabilized and become more of a landing area. The egrets, seeing the heron die, are just like, nope. And they just fucking bail. The crabs all begin to perish or flee off in the surf or off into the scrub. And the battle slowly wraps up.
I want to shout
Yeah.
out the Colossus up one of those birds so bad.
Slowly, we're going to pan from the battlefield where the mice looking around just all raise their fist and pump and victory as they all like begin to shout and scream in celebration for having clearly taken the place. Giles, we're going to quickly zoom in on you.
Yes.
How far have you been pushing into the forest?
Giles is looking for natives.
Okay.
Oh no.
So, Giles, you heard during the debrief where they were, and basically more or less how to find them. But it's still a little bit of an awkward kind of thing. I'm going to have you make me a cartographer roll, and I'm going to have you add Wild Country Wise to this. So that should be 4 dice.
4 dice. The lead, so yeah. Wild Country's 2, and then the cartographer?
Yes.
Okay, I have 2. Yeah, that is 4. Okay. I forgot I had things in cartography.
I have not.
Nice.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's
One
good
success.
stuff. That's a
All you need.
success. That's enough. Mark those both as a success.
Yeah.
So, as you sort of push forward, you recall what the scouts told you before, what Jakan and what Sienna and even Toffrin told you about. As you sort of push forward, you're looking for the same trail, the same path. Eventually, you find it. The copse of pine trees, all laid out in surprisingly neat rows, almost like the columns in the underside of Erebor. You see the shape of stones off to the right, and a little path inside. And your troops have all sort of formed up into like a dual rank, like a 2-wide rank in file, like processing behind you, with Arabelle at the front as well, with the standard and her sword drawn, sort of keeping pace with you, and she just sort of like leans over and says, my lord, it seems to be closer to where you were told they were, but you sure this is wise? I don't mean to question your judgment, just Shouldn't we have waited for backup?
Nah, not busy. Or just taking some initiative.
Yes, my lord. And so her eyes are on a swivel. She's nervous. Reasonably.
He's not nervous at all.
So, I'm assuming you're going into the same place where they found them, like, that little outpost before.
Yes.
Okay. So then, eventually, you go through this series of tunnels, and you eventually arrive in a familiar place. It's pitch black in there right now. No light, no nothing. Seems like if there were any windows or anything, they've either been covered or they've been blown over, you know, wind, dirt. Like, there might have been candles or, like, bioluminescent algae. Whatever it was, it's gone right now. Make me... Let me see, actually. Hold on. I need to do this part. And Arabelle, I need you to move your butt. Thank you. There we are. Okay. Red,
Yeah.
you need to make me a scout roll. If you have nothing, roll 1.
Okay. So I shall roll 1. Ah, well, there's a success.
It is a success, but
My
against this,
hair.
it's a failure. So, mark this down as a failure.
Oh.
So, Red, as you push in deeper, eventually, like, you haven't been really paying as much attention, like you have been, but your eyes are focused ahead. You don't quite realize that, like, as you enter this chamber, that you weren't really looking beyond it. You were just looking towards it. And as you look in, you hear, like, a shuffling with your little mousy ears, like, down the hallway. By the time you look, you see a group of mice clambering up on the other side, having been sort of, like, stationed there, all wearing black armor. Like, almost a sort of a splint mail layered in place of, like, wrought iron, black, ugly metal, but efficient, and cast iron helms, and each of them with spears with sharpened metal tips. And into the main chamber, which has been pitch black. The only thing that gave it away was the sound, the glint of spears. And then in the main chamber, you hear a shuffling and a of, like, wood on stone. And slowly, you see a chair move, and a glint of metal as a small mousy figure slowly stands up in the dark. Well then. Who are you? Slowly begins to walk towards you.
Ah, good. Glad you're here. I am Giles of Wolfram. I come asking for an alliance.
Wolfram. Well then. That is surprising. And you can see he raises a hand and snaps it. And you see the shimmer of light on metal as a golden gauntlet clicks. And you can see behind one of the mice nearby takes flint and sets it off, igniting a torch on the table.
I'm gonna turn to
And-
ashes. It's gonna fucking fade away like Thanos.
And the mouse slowly turns towards you, and you can see he's got scars all up and down his eyes. He is torn apart, it almost looks like. And as you get closer, you can see in the light that, like, the gauntlet he's wearing makes, like, soft clicking. And you can see it's not a gauntlet, it's a prosthetic. Likely plated with some kind of, like, polished brass that almost looks like gold. And he sort of leans in, and you can recognize as he does, this mouse is wearing a cloak of the Mouse Guard. He sort of squints his eyes at you and sort of walks around. Never thought I'd see the day that the Mouse Guard would want help from Midnight the Exile. Well, Giles, have a seat. Let's talk parlay. It's been a while since I've heard from my old home. And I think that is where we're going to end the session.
Oh shit! Let's fucking go, dude. That's
Can't wait
right.
till Giles betrays everybody.
Oh god, bastard rat.
On God.
The truest rat of the expedition.
On Giles.
On Giles.
On Giles. My favorite reindeer.
Ah,
That was awesome.
Well, guys.
Anthony. Thank you for a fun session, dude. I love
Man,
that.
fella.
thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Way to go in completing your first warfare mission.
Woo!
Doing so rather efficiently. I think everyone accomplished their goals today, too. I don't even think you lost... You didn't even lose a man, Sienna. Like, well done.
I did not lose any men or
Except
mice.
for old Crunchy
Mice.
Leg.
Oh, Crunchy Leg McGee.
Yeah. Crunch down in his prime.
He'll
I
get
played
better.
strategically, I think, even though all I did was defense.
No, I thought that was a really intelligent decision. Like, Warfare is in Mouse Guard about the same thing as any other game in Mouse Guard. It's about running your opponent's clock out until they're in such a disadvantaged position they lose. So you don't have health, you have like a position point that I keep track of. And so your successes and failures move those invisible numbers behind my screen. And I just kind of let you know vaguely where you're at situationally.
Cool.
So there's ways
like
of
it.
beating it. And defending is basically just taking the number and pumping that number up. You gotta get, those are rookie numbers. You want bigger numbers. And if your opponent can't beat you, they can't win. At the end of a fight, you compare numbers. And if you're in a strategically better position than them by a large margin, doesn't matter if they're at 1 and you're at 3, or you're at 8 and they're at 2. You still win. So, it was a good move.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun though. I really like that. That's a cool fun
Thanks,
system.
guys. Well, I think we can turn this over to Derek, and we can also very quickly just go through. You guys have all had your, you all succeeded, like well and above and beyond. Clearly, Dukan, you proved yourself to the Mouse territories. Your skill and your ability to fight. You basically cleared a front all by yourself and supported another.
Let's go.
That's no small feat. And Sienna, you protected your patrol. Red, you clearly made contact with the natives. So, all of you get yourselves a choice of Persona point or a Fate point. And likewise, we're going to quickly go down the line. Dukan, 100%, I'm going to give you MVP.
Oh yeah.
Your squad literally spearheaded the attack. Absolutely
Oh, yeah.
crushed it. So, well done on that.
Thank you.
I'm going to say that, Sienna, your character is definitely the workhorse. You literally, like, you established the beachhead by yourself. Like, that fortification will be there for a while now, and be super useful. So, well done on that.
Nice.
Red, if there's ever been an embody, it's in you literally pushing across the battlefield to get into the enemy territory to meet the people you're supposed to be trying to meet. You all have earned the Persona points that you gained.
Hell yeah.
Handily.
Thank you.
Well done, guys. That was a great session.
Thank you for running it. I had a great old time.
Fucking awesome as usual.
Thank you, guys.
All right, folks. Well, let's do our shout outs. Natalie, you want to start us off?
Okay. You can find me here every other Wednesday on at DMDM's Twitch channel playing Mouse Guard. Tomorrow we'll be playing Lancer, also here on this channel with
No,
all
we're
these
not.
awesome people.
None of that is true. None of what you
Oh,
just
what?
said is
Oh, not
accurate.
Lancer, Call of Cthulhu. I'm
It's
sorry,
not
I was
even on
thinking
this
Red,
channel.
so
Yeah,
my
it's not even
my
on this
mind
channel.
went to Lancer. We'll be playing Call of Cthulhu tomorrow with all these awesome people.
Yes.
Over on
And
Red's
this-
channel. Yeah.
Yes. This Saturday on this channel, we'll be playing Booty, 5e adventure, and is
Covet.
it Call of Cthulhu? Or God damn it,
Go to
I'm
bed,
all over
Natalie.
the place. All of these games are running together. We're playing Booty and Covet Syndicate. And
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter at LidzozoBeans, and that's it for me.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Thank you, Natalie. I love you. Rand, what's up, buddy?
Well, I'm Red. I'm one of the 3 primary colors. I'm a content creator here on Twitch and entertainer in other places, such as on Twitter at VA Redemption. I run a Twitch channel of my own, like I said. Thursdays alternate between 7 p.m. shows and 2 p.m. shows. Tomorrow we'll be on at 7 p.m. CST with Call of Cthulhu Under the Jade Sky. Wow, the last episode was just fucking bonkers, and I don't know where we're going from there.
That shit was insane.
I am very much looking forward to seeing how it turns out. And other than that, I am on Derek's channel every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. CST, and the week next Thursday, not this Thursday, but next Thursday will be 2 p.m. CST. Back to Cyberpunk Red.
Sweet.
So that is me.
Good deal. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here, Red. Much love, much appreciated as always. Omni, what's happening?
Hey everyone, I'm the last Omnitech, your favorite robot American. You guys can catch me on this channel, DMDM Studios, and Redemption VA's channel, and Alakazam's channel, relentlessly over the course of the week. I play in Valerius on Wednesday on Alakazam's. I play tonight's Wednesdays for both this Mouse Guard campaign that I run on DMDM Studios, and also once a month on what is it? It's Dark Heresy. I always mess it up.
Yeah.
I always want to like mash all the different names together to be like Black Heresy. No, it's Dark Heresy. You guys can catch me on Redemption VA's channel on Thursdays. I'm either playing Call of Cthulhu or we're basically playing something every week.
Yep.
We have Saturdays, Covet Syndicate. Again, this is all stuff we've talked about before. But you can catch me on my channel, 10:30 a.m. EST, on Thursdays and on Saturdays. On Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. EST, we have the Breakfast Club, which is tomorrow, where we game, we relax, we chat about what's going on in the TTRPG community, and basically the whole shebang. Bring some food, bring a drink, get yourself some coffee, kick back and relax, and have a nice chill time. Saturdays, I do the Stellar Forge, where I world build, do art, and also do rule smithing live on stream with all of you. I'm working on my legacy TTRPG space opera setting, which I've been working on for almost 20 years now, and I'm getting ready to run it on this channel at some point.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, come
wait.
tune in then. I'm super excited to run it for you guys.
I can't
That's me. You guys can catch me on Twitter and elsewhere. I'm all over the place. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this little game. I love Mouse Guard so much, and I love running it for you guys.
Oh, thanks,
So-
man. I love Mouse Guard too, and I have a lot of fun. Thank you for running it. Much love. Much appreciated.
Oh yeah.
Well, good night, everybody. We're going to be raiding into Ocarina Sheaf. Make sure we make some noise and share the love. If you liked what you saw here, you can catch us, as we said, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time over at twitch.tv/RedemptionVA. I will be hosting Call of Cthulhu 7E. It is some crazy shenanigans. You don't want to miss it. On Friday, we have Saints and Sinners. It is a Runners in the Shadows actual play. It's like a Blades in the Dark hack, but kind of shadow runny. It's really cool. Saturday, Booty. It's a piratical 5e adventure at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Covet Syndicate, our homebrew 5e evil campaign at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do not know if session 0 for L5R this Sunday is going to be done on stream or off stream, but we are going to be doing session 0 for that. Cannot wait. It's going to be so much fucking fun. I cannot wait to get back to L5R. Monday, Death Roll 5e, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think Gian said he's going to need to have it pushed back. So either 5:30 or 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Death Roll. And then next Wednesday, I believe the month is funky, so we're going to have to see about when we're going to do Path of Contrition this month. It might be next week, but just to keep us on schedule, so we'll see. Good night, everybody. Love you, appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow on Red's channel.
Peace.